But so what happened with Ti?
Yeah, he had people used to make fun of how his hat was leaning.
Okay.
So he did one video where he had it leaning like right here. Then they would pan to whoever he's talking to. When they come back to him, it's leaning more. And every time it was just leaning more than like over his face.
So he's got a good sense of humor though.
Yeah.
I think Ti is the only rapper I know that doesn't have a tattoo.
Does he? Yeah.
What other rapper has a tattoo? Well, doesn't have a tattoo.
Yeah,
that's like
that's
a
rare.
really mainstream rapper.
Right. Yeah, that's rare.
It's kind of like the look. I heard that he didn't want to have the tattoo because he wanted to stand out in that way, which I really respect.
Right.
I mean, Ti has been around for a
He's been
long
around
time.
For a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't. His first song, I forget what it was, but I wasn't a fan that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Rubber Band Man, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
It was all about money back then
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it was just the beat. Really, I didn't really feel it. But then he came. That next album, I was like, all right, yeah, he the truth.
Okay.
I had to give it to him.
Sweet. So I just want to introduce the podcast real quick. Today we have a special guest. Thank you guys for watching, by the way. Our special guest is a legend in the streets of DuPont Circle.
Yeah.
I'm always seeing him. We have the best conversations, late night conversations.
Yeah.
We don't even mean to meet up, but we just
Right.
end up doing that, and we end up
Just-
talking for hours just about philosophy, everything, life, and I really like his perspective.
Thank
And so I'm really happy that he's on the podcast.
Yeah, thank
He's
you
the
for
most
having me.
interesting man in Washington D.C.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I don't think I know your name,
Wayne.
Wayne.
Right, that's how it is in the city, man. You just know everybody by face. You talk to him for a minute.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, what's his name?
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was Just or something like that.
Oh, no, that's just my IG. My IG is Just Too Trill.
So where did that come from?
I always, because I've been on the internet for a minute, man. So back in like the AOL days, my name would be like something Trills. 'Cause I always liked the UGK. They used to say Trill, the rap group.
Oh, okay.
It's from back in the day.
Did you grew up on like what rappers did you, or what music did you like to listen to?
A little bit of everything. My mother, and on the weekends they playing like the Tony Braxton, Anita Baker, all that.
Okay.
My father's a musician, plays bass. So all, Funkadelic, Parliament, all that.
Okay.
And then, I liked hip hop, so Bone Thugs and Harmony, Scarface.
Classic.
Yeah, Bone Thugs, that was like my favorite group.
Yeah.
Growing up, yeah.
I when I was working as a bouncer, there was a guy, Marvin, or Melvin. No, but he loved Bone Thugs, and he would rap. Just like on the shift, he would just be rapping really fast. What was the Bone? What was his name?
Busy Bone.
The guy, the really fast.
Yeah, he's the fastest Busy Bone.
Yeah, Busy Bone. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I really know about Bone Thugs.
Yeah, they came out in, I want to say like 93, 94, something like that. I was third or fourth grade. And me and my friends, like, that was our favorite group. We all grew our hair out, grew bushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you grow up in Washington, D.C.?
In Maryland, yeah, PG County, Maryland. And I'm from Lanham, but I grew up in a place called Upper Marlboro.
Okay, yeah. That's all right. Yeah,
I saw you had a guest. She said she grew up in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And Cheltenham is like 10, 15 minutes from where I grew up.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Actually, so she is an artist looking for a team.
Oh, yeah.
King Janaya. And so she's actually looking for people to do visuals for her and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And so I know you do a lot of camera work. I'm always seeing you with the camera everywhere.
Yeah, always.
That's like your signature look.
Yeah, always.
And
you never know what's going to happen.
That's true. And we were talking about that. Well, probably one of the first times we met was that there's just so much happening on the street that because we're just hanging out on the weekend, documenting what's going on is what people want to know what's going on the day to day nighttime. And if you're just you're the first person to see it because you're already out there. And there's already fights and random stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of
you
crazy
have that
shit.
inside scoop because you already have your camera out and you can.
Right. Yeah, get a lot of stuff like that, man. And I have a friend out there, DJ. I think you probably seen him before. But he just started an Instagram page, and he's in the city more than me. So he's definitely getting like all them fights and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like crazy shit. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know, the climate of Washington D.C., or just like I think maybe just me going outside and experiencing the city. It probably isn't just centered in just Washington D.C., but I feel like the climate is just a little bit more like I feel tension when I'm going out, and maybe it's I have anxiety, but I also have a sense that there's just like a lot of people are kind of on edge a little bit more than normal.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, other people mentioned that. Alexi mentioned that. DJ, just people that's been out that you notice, like, especially in DuPont, because DuPont's a little more chill, you know what I mean? But you start seeing more and more, just like that tension up there is like, okay, this used to be a spot that was, everything is wasn't too much gonna happen up here.
Yeah.
But now just a little bit more tension. See more and more fights. I saw like 2 brawls last week.
Yeah.
Like, during the week. On a Tuesday. Yeah, on a Tuesday, big brawl in the middle of the street. I'm like, yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that before.
There's like a fight almost every night on the weekend.
Yeah, now.
And I don't even entertain it. Like, I won't even look over to see who's fighting or anything, because it's just so quick how fast things can escalate nowadays. Someone could just pull out a gun or pull something, a knife or whatever. Yeah. And just the fact you're around there, your life expectancy is dropping. Yeah. So I'm not trying to. I'm trying to be around for a while, and I don't need to entertain myself by watching some riffraff going on.
Yeah. There's been a few times where I think it was 2 undercover cops were about to fight each other.
What?
Yeah, in front of Rose Bar, and I seen the one dude pull his gun out. As soon as I saw that, I walked off like, yeah, I'm gone.
Wow.
And then my man stayed down the street. He was like, yeah, the other guy pulled a gun out. I'm like, but I could tell. I'm like, the way he did it, I'm like, oh, that's an undercover cop. Like, that's a cop. And then it came out that, yeah, they both were undercover cops.
What? So they were so deep that they didn't even know that each other were undercover?
Yeah. Yeah, they were in, I don't know if they were undercover, but they were cops who went out. So I won't say undercover, but plain clothes, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was actually talking to my friend, he's an artist.
Mention the treats. Mention the treats.
Yes, I'm talking to my friend. He's an artist and just real chill guy. She want that attention.
Candace, please stop.
Yeah, she like my brother's cat Harley.
Yeah. The thing is, she's sweet about it. She's like, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir."
Yeah, see, Harley a little crazy. She'll attack you. Like,
oh well.
I mean, playfully, she won't hurt you.
Yeah.
She like to fight.
Yeah, that's nice. She just likes booty rubs. But so you were saying?
Yeah, so I was talking to my man. We just out there having talk like me and you talk. And some guy just comes around the club. Is like, "Is this him?" Talking to his friends, pointing at my man. He's like, "This him?" And he was like, "No." His friends was like, "No," but he got in his face like he's about to fight. My man was like, "Yo, what's going on?"
What the heck?
Like, we just talking, and randomly some dude walk up to him. So his friends like, "No, that's not him." And he points to the other guy. And that's when he walked up to him, and that's when I seen the other guy pull the gun out. And that's when I stepped off. But yeah, they both ended up being cops.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like counterproductive, because they're supposed to be on the streets to stop that stuff. But like
they be out there getting into stuff. Because another night, some guy was out there drunk in the middle of the street, messing with one of the Capitol Police, messing with his car. So the Capitol Police just rode by. So I'm just standing there, just shaking my head. Capitol Police rolls up to me. He's like, pulls the window down. He was like, "Man, that guy is so drunk, he don't even know." He's like, "I'm pretty sure that fucked him up last week in the club." He's like, "I just came out drinking last week, so I was out here in regular clothes, and I fucked dude up." And he was like, "He don't even know that's me."
Oh my gosh.
But that let me know, the cops be out there in regular clothes and getting into shit too.
Yeah. I mean, cops are people too, but they do have a certain, I feel like, what is it called? A duty not to, like, they need to be set an example.
Yeah.
And no matter if you're on duty or off duty, you still got to uphold a certain standard of law-abiding behavior.
Right. Try to set an example.
Yeah, because, I mean, I guess that's a cool, like, interesting. Well, we can branch out in a few different ways, because I remember this one time we were hanging out. We were by Lucky Bar, and so we were hanging out. I think there was like 3 like some of your friends and me just hanging out, and this guy comes over, and he just had such like a aggressive look and hot, like he was just kind of like he walked over, looked me up and down. He's like, "Psst," and he just gave me like such an attitude.
I know what you mean. I know you
for just hanging out with you.
Yeah.
And that was like, it wasn't one of the first times I felt it, but it's not common for me to get that type of approach. Someone will approach me with that energy. And what do you think it was?
It wasn't you personally. I know him for a while. He just be lit sometimes. That's really all it is. He be lit. Like when he's sober, I guess you could say, or just high off weed. He don't act like that. But that night he was drunk or off. I don't know what else he do, but he was off something else, and he just came up aggressive. Like I don't know why, but
yeah,
I noticed he'll do that sometimes when he's lit like that.
Because I thought it was like a racial thing.
Nah, I mean, it could have been maybe a little bit, but not. I don't think he's looking at it in a racial way, but he's just looking at. Sometimes people from that environment might think that they could pick on white people. You know what I mean? Like something like that. But they're not looking at like, oh, I don't like this white person. It's just in the moment they feeling tough. They see a white boy, they might think, oh, I could just play around with him a little bit.
Yeah,
so it may have been a little bit of that, and he's also so drunk and high.
Yeah.
But it wasn't you personally, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it just felt like he was judging me before even knowing me, and it's like, why? Like it was almost making me feel like I shouldn't be hanging out here. I'm like, no, these are my friends.
Right, yeah, you belong just like everybody else.
This isn't like a weird thing. So to me, it just is such like an outdated perspective that I just didn't at all like. After just getting a first whiff of that, it's just like I can't associate myself with that kind of energy. But
yeah, I totally understand that.
It is that like. I feel like the climate, I guess, from 2 years ago, I actually saw, before we get into all of that, what happened 2 years ago, I really want to dive into kind of your history and your lineage and just like what, like, because you mentioned to me your, what was it, your grandmother?
Yeah.
So who was your grandmother?
Yeah, my grandmother, her name was Cora L. Rice. She was a civil rights activist in PG County, Maryland. And she was, during her time, she was like a big deal. She had the school right next to FedEx Field in Lanham, C. Pleasant. That's named after her, Cora L. Rice Elementary School. So yeah, she fought to integrate the schools back then, black and white. So desegregation. That was her thing. Yeah. And she fought for kids in need. Like she threw a Christmas party. They had it up Eleanor Roosevelt for they might still do it like over 30 years for kids that deserving kids that need like meals. They give them backpacks, food, pizza party. Nice. Have like Frosty Snowman up there, all that to make the kids happy. Nice. So yeah, she started that the year I was born, 1984. Okay. Yeah, but she was big into that. She married a white man in, I want to say, the 50s. Had my mother in 1966. Yeah, so she went through a lot. They bombed her, tried to bomb her house, tried to bomb her car just for marrying a white man and her taking the stances that she did. Yeah, she marched for Martin Luther King. She was involved with the NAACP, like the United. She was the president of the United Black Fund, the chapter here. So she was a really big deal. Wow,
that's amazing. And how has she influenced you?
I think I always have like people always tell me that I just have like a calm about myself, or kind of like a quiet confidence. I'll just be chilling and people always just come up talk to me. I think I had that confidence because ever since I was born, I knew what she did. I knew she was special, so I just knew I came from something special. Yeah. So it's like I just felt like I'm not an average person, not a regular person. So I think just everything she did, and she died when I was 7 or 8, but up to that point I was with her like every day. So she instilled that confidence even that I still have to this day, and just my passion for like civil rights and just our rights as humans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it definitely inspired me in that way.
Yeah, because I could tell when we speak, it's almost like we just tap into such a like a I call it like a higher consciousness type of conversation, where it's not just talking about some stupid stuff
Right.
going on in the
Yeah,
street, but it's like
superficial.
yeah, like we get deeper, and I could just tell that your thinking is just so years ahead of like a lot of people, a lot of like just the general climate,
Yeah.
and like that's why I'm so curious about you, and like where you came from, and how you grew up, and like the way you are, because I know that I had to go find myself, and it took years and years of self development and going to certain countries, trying to understand cultures,
Right.
you know, doing things that are very uncomfortable for me, like just talking to random people was really uncomfortable. Me approaching,
Yeah.
you know, back in the like for me it was, you know, I had to, for me it was women, you know, approaching women was really nerve wracking for me, and trying to find like what to say to the, you know, like how to approach them, and how do you get liked and all this.
Right.
Like I had such like, you know, it's the way you think when you're like 20, you know what I'm saying? But when you know you're growing up, you start to develop your inner confidence and like your perspective on things. I'm so curious about how you were able to do that.
Yeah, another thing I got the confidence from growing up was, like I said, my grandmother, but I also was an athlete. I played basketball. So I was like really good in basketball. I played football too when I was young, but when I got older, it was more basketball. So I just always just had it. I knew I was good, you know, good at something, and I got, you know, kind of noticed for it and praised for it, and just being a good athlete, that you just carry yourself a certain way.
Yeah.
So it's been years since I played, but I still, in my mind, that's still who I am. And if I run into certain people, they'll still know me. They'll ask me, "Oh, do you play? You still play ball?" Like I know a lot of people that went on to play professionally or overseas and all that stuff. So that was a big thing. And a lot of it, other stuff, honestly, I don't know. Like, it's just how I am. Like, my mother always, I didn't get it when I was young, but now I kind of do. When I was a little kid, she would always tell me, like, I wish I could just get in your brain for, like, a day, just so I can understand, like, how you think. And to me, I'm just thinking regular, like a regular person. Like,
Yeah.
But now, as I get older, I kind of understand what she meant by that. But when I think I told you before, my grandmother had said that she thought I was here before. Like when I was born, my mother said I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just came out. My father said something to me. I just opened my eyes and just looking around. I was just chilling like I do now. So my grandma was like, "Oh, he's been here before."
Wow.
And sometimes it feels like that. I don't know. It's just how I think, and it's also the people you surround yourself with. Like my best friend growing up, well, all my best friends. I had a few best friends. Our whole little crew, my cousin, the type of talks that me and you have, that stuff we would talk about for. I mean, they was on my house every day, so we talk about that stuff every single day.
Yeah.
For years. So that's kind of, you know, like iron sharpens iron type of thing.
Yeah. That's
so
cool.
I think it comes from that and just life experiences, and part of it, like I said, is some stuff I just kind of knew, and even to this day, I think back like, damn, how did I know that even before I ever experienced it? Like,
are you from the past?
It be feeling like that sometimes.
Yeah. Is this your second time here? Like, you got something to say?
It definitely be feeling like that,
Yeah.
but nah, I don't think. If so, I don't have the memories.
Yeah.
But that goes deeper, and if you want to get even deeper in that, people say like your soul or your spirit may have been here before. So your soul or spirit might have the memories, but you personally might not have them. But
Yeah.
we don't really know how that stuff works just yet.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about this yesterday or Saturday. Yeah, yesterday. And I was in Georgetown, and they had this community dance event where they do bachata and all sorts of Spanish music. And so I was just thinking how, like, we have created this sense of expression of togetherness, and through the unspoken act of dancing and through music, and how you can relate to each other without actually having to know each other's story. And like we were also talking about that on on Friday, where it's like we're all connected in a way. This unspoken presence of just the soul that's within us. We can relate to each other's souls and have empathy and like we don't need to know much about that person to really like be compassionate and try to be there for one another, which made me think we also haven't tapped into like the other senses that we have, and I'm sure that there's even more than just the six senses. I say six because I think intuition is also a sense. Yeah. Okay. You know, and so that there's probably even more senses that we're just incapable of registering, but it's happening, you know, around us subconsciously. You know, there's certain rays, certain beams of light and energy all around us that is influencing us to do certain things and motivating, and
we just haven't tapped into it yet. We haven't probably haven't evolved enough to understand how to do it. But like they said, then they say the CIA back in the day was doing was it telepathic stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they made a movie about it, I think with Brad Pitt, probably like 10 years ago. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, I remember they were talking about that stuff on Joe Rogan, and I did, looked it up. Yeah, they were figuring out how to do that stuff. So,
do you believe in telepathy?
I'm the type of person, I think a lot of stuff is possible. I don't know if it's really real, but the fact that we're here, like anything's possible. Like I sometimes be thinking, like, how did the first human get here? Like, how did that really happen?
Like, which train stop did they get off on?
Right, like I mean, I know science says we evolved, from species to species and all that, but to me, anything's possible. Yeah. So, yeah, I think they kind of proved that they did it, the CIA. But I can't remember. It's so long ago, I can't remember, so I don't want to say it too confidently. But
yeah, they probably took Jeffrey, put him in a room, didn't feed him for a few days, and then they walk in. They could probably read on his face that he's hungry. Right. So that was it. Right, they put $1 billion into that, got him a sandwich, and we're like, we could read. We can read people's minds. But I honestly, I think that we are just so I mean, not everybody, but I think on a lot of micro expressions, like on a wave where you can just look at someone's face or like certain movements, or everything that's happening inside kind of has a little bit of an effect on the outside. And so there are things that we can pick up without, like, that are just so subtle. Right. And that is a way that I would believe, like, that telepathy kind of exists, where everything is, like, even, like, guilt of doing something wrong can be shown on someone's face, or, like, there's...
kind of like you're reading cues and stuff.
Yeah, like, in martial arts, like, the most important thing is to always be looking in the eyes. And I've also trained with people that think that it's the body you want to look at because you're looking at the movement. But no, you would know exactly what your opponent and where they're at and in the fight by looking in their eyes. Wow. And like that is I think they say it's the window into a soul, but like I think that's true.
Yeah, so, I believe that. I didn't know that about martial arts, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's all about eye contact, because you want to process what's going on from their mind, not their movement, not their body. So
you can kind of tell what they're about to do next.
Yeah, but what they're gonna do next, what kind of aggression they have, if they start doubting themselves through just you being calm in a situation like that, they're already gonna start doubting themselves. Wow. So there's a lot of mind games that go into it as well, or not looking injured or playing it off like, oh, you hit me with your best shot, but I'm gonna still come. And then that's what really, like, it's not about being a tough guy, but it's about not showing weakness, and like having the full belief in what you're capable of, and that can be best illustrated through eye contact.
Wow, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pay attention next time I see them fighting and stuff, UFC or something.
Oh, I can't say UFC is a great example of
Oh,
good
really?
martial arts.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily like. I don't think that they're bad martial artists. I think that because of maybe the rules and also certain watered down techniques, the
Mm-hmm.
training isn't as what I would call like precise. Like they're not really worried about the precision of where that punch is coming from,
Mm-hmm.
how they're gonna keep their hands up, and like the discipline isn't the same as if you were to take a martial art very seriously
Mm-hmm.
and not be just doing it for the money. Like
Right.
you would,
Like really live the lifestyle.
yeah. Like I think that things get watered down, and depending on what school you go to, not everyone is taught the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm very grateful for the way I was taught with Master Mohali under Grandmaster Agrella, and he just passed away a few years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
our
Yeah. Rest in peace.
yeah, rest in peace. And he was a very influential character in my development
Mm-hmm.
for my martial arts, my mindset. One of the first things that he did to me actually when I met him is he punched me in the face
Oh shit.
just to see how I'd react.
Wow.
I didn't even get any words off. He just kind of like he looked at me and just punched me, and I was stunned.
Yeah.
I didn't know because I mean I was just a few years in,
Right.
and I didn't know what I was getting myself into,
Damn.
and it taught me like what he was really trying to see is if I'm going to break or if I'm going to be reactive to it
Mm-hmm.
or do I actually respect his authority
Right.
or like what kind of character am I? And I actually respected that. I mean, I think that I also really appreciate the teaching of the way my master is now, where he is more compassionate and he sees, that not everyone is capable of the same things, and he
Mm-hmm.
tries to make sure everyone is feeling that they're growing at a
Right.
similar rate.
Okay.
But yeah, I really appreciate of that type of mentality
Mm-hmm.
going into martial arts. But we were taught, always have your guard up, or you're gonna learn the hard way,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Right.
gonna get punched in the face, and you're gonna remember to put your hand up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just see a lot of UFC fighters. I'm not saying all of them. There's a lot that I would definitely I respect. I just respect anyone who's putting themselves out there like that.
Right.
Like
True.
that's putting their blood, sweat, energy, life into
Mm-hmm.
something. I really respect passionate people,
Mm-hmm.
and someone who is willing to do that. Like they, they might have a lot to prove as well. But
Mm-hmm.
then there's another side of things. It's like how long can you sustain a lifestyle like that? Like,
Yeah.
is it serving you? Is it serving your soul? Is it serving your purpose? Like maybe it's a little bit more short lived,
Right.
and so I'm less inclined to follow that path.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't. Nothing is planned, and you don't have like a set
Right. Yeah.
way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So just because right now it doesn't seem like a good idea, or it seems like a good idea for someone,
Mm-hmm.
means that they can change their mind, and there are always what we're saying is there's always a cause and effect,
Mm-hmm.
a consequence to certain behavior that happens, and it's gonna catch up with you
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
through.
Yeah. Eventually, everything catches up to you. You learn
Mm-hmm.
that as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Even like being good to people, like
Mm-hmm.
it things might not seem to be in your favor at certain points in your life. Nothing is always going to go the way
Right.
you want it to, but when you have a certain mindset and you're just a good person and you're emulating a positive energy and you're trying to influence people in a better way,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to come back. So the reason why I even started doing a podcast is that, well, one, I love networking with people and getting to know their story and trying to understand like people's struggle, and I think that that's the best way to get closer to the world,
Mm-hmm.
as well as just through having a conversation. And we were talking about this yesterday, or on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and how most things that are going on, a lot of the disagreements are from not having that open dialogue, or
Mm-hmm.
it's if we were to make things a bit more like a basic version, it's the if you have two huge groups of people, it's you might feel a certain type of way and you didn't say that, and then I also did this to like make you angry or whatever, and it's just like that. it's like a mixture of trauma and resentment and not being real and authentic about how you were feeling at that moment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that, man. And like you said, when you said people in big groups going against each other, that's a lot of. I think people are they side with a team, and then like in politics, is this team against that team type thing. You know what I mean? Instead of looking at the being more think for yourself kind of. I think a lot of people just kind of go with that group thing.
And you were saying that that it was kind of like this artificial way of controlling people, that the system is making all of these groups and they're kind of turning them against each other.
Yeah, that's I kind of feel like that's what's going on. Or you have Democrats, Republicans, white, black, or other races going against each other, gay, straight. It's just everything so segmented and divided, and that's so we fight each other and don't realize that we could come together. You know what I mean, and fight for a bigger purpose, a bigger cause, changes that everyday people want. If we just got together and demanded it, I think we could go about getting it. Everybody is too separated, you know what I mean? Like I say, everybody just voting for their team, regardless if they're right or wrong. It's just, this is who I align myself with, so I'm riding with them. Instead of just looking at each individual case, as it is, and just decide for yourself that way. Like there might be some things Republicans say I agree with. There's things the Democrats say I agree with. Like I don't have to be just one or the other, 100% one. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
be an individual.
So, but how do you be an individual in a place where everyone has an opinion, and there's only a certain amount of people that can actually put those opinions into action? Like in a way, it is a system, and like how do the people that we've elected or people that are in that position, how are they to make decisions based off of that individualism?
Yeah, well, the problem is I don't think they're making many decisions based on the betterment of us, period. I think the people, their sponsors, the people that are donating to their campaigns, you know what I mean? The people on K Street that's, you know what I mean, giving money to the government, they're the ones that's dictating their actions or certain policies and stuff. So, but yeah, ideally, our local government would be for us, you know what I mean? And really, my mother always said that's where it has to start. And my grandmother's in politics, local government politics. So it starts with your local politicians. And ideally, if whoever's running here in this area, we all come together as a people and say, this is what we want. And that person takes that back, you know what I mean? And speaks for us. And then ideally that'll go around the whole country. And then they bring that with the president or whatever. But like I said, we're not together enough to even say, hey, these are the things that we want to our local politicians so they can take it further. I think that's what be how it starts. Cause I think the higher up politicians, they're not really thinking about the everyday person. They have people they have to answer to. They in their big money things. They're doing what they do. They're not thinking about the average person. That's more the local government type thing.
I think for the local government, it would make sense, and I maybe it's because I don't know the way government works in and out, but to me it seems like a good idea to just have certain like local events where people just can go every week and then talk about the problems that they have going on.
Yeah, they have. I can't think what it's called, but they have those. I'm not sure how often they have them, but they definitely have them, and that's where it comes on us, the people. We gotta be more involved and go to these things and make our voices heard, because they do have certain things. Because sometimes you might see a funny clip on the internet where somebody was like trolling them or something when they go there, like somebody in the audience was just trolling the government workers. But yeah, those events happen, and we could go and make our voices heard. It's just enough of us, including myself, we just don't do it. And that's another thing. Most people are just so busy with everyday life that it's hard to, you know what I mean, take the time to do that for everybody to come together.
Yeah, maybe they should, since the government is already trying to control everything, they should tap into our phones, which they already have,
Right.
and they should just send us like group messages and be like, hey, do you guys agree with this
Right.
idea? And then we can just all in real time just say yes or no,
Mhm.
and they'll make a decision based off of that.
Right. Yeah, that reminds like something like Joe Rogan said. He's been saying for years. He was like, "Why don't we just do voting online?" He's like, "Everybody, we all have the internet now.
Mm,
We can just simply do it online, and it'd be that much simpler."
mm.
So yeah, I mean, you would think things like that could work, but then again, it goes to, do the higher ups really want that change? Do they want people to be more conscious?
You know, it's kind of it's you also have to look at the higher ups are a lot of these higher ups are older,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the methods are dated.
Mm-hmm.
And so even the way technology is advancing, it's advanced so much even the last 5 years,
Yeah.
those 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
So the government needs to also be advancing
Yeah.
as quickly.
Yeah, that was. I think that's what some Andrew Yang was when he was running in the last cycle,
Mm.
election cycle. He was kind of talking about stuff like that because he's a technologist, I guess, in the technology industry. So yeah, you're right. That's kind of stuff that he was talking about. We need to just be more advanced. Like we're in it's 2023, about to be 2024. There's things we could upgrade. But like you said, they're so old. I guess they don't even understand that it needs to be changed. 'Cause they can't even comprehend what what it would change to.
Mm. What do you think is one of the things that stand out the most that you think should change or you want to change?
In the government,
Just like
Or
in
just-
in general, maybe like things that you've
um,
gone through in your daily life, or your thoughts in general.
aside from like I said, reparations.
Oh yeah.
Aside from that,
So yeah, let's speak about that actually.
yeah, I think reparations need to be they owed, so they need to be paid up
For the
for the descendants of slavery.
right.
Yeah, and there's people I don't know the names offhand, but there's people that are kind of study. Even the government finally said, okay, we'll study it to see how we would go about, giving the money out or who it would go to and all that stuff.
Mm.
But there's people that's going over that stuff, and they came up with numbers, but I'm not sure which one would be the accurate. But I know there's a guy, if anybody wants to look, Dr. Claude Anderson. He talks about a lot about that stuff. He's an older black man who was around before, like I was talking about with my grandmother's segregation for integration. He was around, so he talks a lot about reparations and all that stuff. But yeah, I definitely think it's owed to us.
Mm.
I was reading a book by his name is Josiah or something, but he was a slave, and he was when slavery ended, he was writing like a journal. So I read that or read some of it, and he was talking about how the slaves were like pissed off that they didn't get their 40 acres and a mule. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't something that was just like, oh, well,
They were promised.
yeah, they were pissed off about that.
Mm.
And it's just over the years, it's just, I think especially black people, we just feel like oh well, they're never gonna get that to us, so oh well. But I want to say nah, like our ancestors were pissed off about that. Like we should still be pissed off about that because that was owed to them. And a lot of other people got reparations in this country from the government. I learned, I think it was Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about how when after slavery, a lot of immigrants from other countries would come in here, they were giving away the land that was owed to black people to the other immigrants. So that affected generational wealth. That affected, and then you still had Jim Crow in the 60s that, it's like I was saying, my grandmother went through stuff that she was going through. They tried to bomb her, try to kill her. It's a lot of stuff that's happened to black people.
Yeah.
And it's just like we're expected to just, like they say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Just keep going. Which at the end of the day, yeah, we do have to just get it for ourselves and keep grinding. But at the same time, we could still demand what's owed to us.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
I definitely agree with that, and we talked about how like people respond to trauma, and one of the best ways to, or I think a healthy way, is to really acknowledge the wrong that had been done,
Right.
and then when you can say that you can make it right, and that has been said, they could at least try to. You can never go back and be like, like you can say you'll never do that again, but
Right.
hope that happens,
Right.
and then there needs to be some sort of recourse of like
Mm-hmm.
an apology of like, and then them giving you like reparations in the
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen. I know people say there's not money for it, but I mean they find money for everything else.
Mm.
They giving so much money to Ukraine right now. Then I just saw something they accidentally gave them like trillions of dollars more than they meant to.
What?
Like yeah, like that right there could be reparations. Like and the rest of the world is still going on regular. Like people think they give us reparations that the whole system's gonna break down and we're gonna go broke as a country.
Mm.
I just don't think that's reality.
I spoke to this girl yesterday under this bridge. It was raining, and she was talking. She actually had a tattoo on her neck. It said Black Power, something like that. And I asked her about it, and really surprised me is that she was really against the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think that now more the time has gone by,
Mm-hmm.
people kind of see what it really was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I brought up the reparations with her, and she's like, as a Black woman, going to college has now become so much easier, and I'm chosen out of a lot of other options
Mm-hmm.
because I am Black, and I have scholarships, and I'll get
Yeah, like
$400,000
affirmative action.
scholarships for just being Black,
Mm-hmm.
or other things that go along with it, but that helped her.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, well, I don't need reparations because this was my reparation. Like,
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
yeah.
I mean, I understand what she's saying, but see, that's a lot of Black people. That's what we fall into. Like, oh, we get this, or I hear Black people say, oh, we just gonna mess the money up anyway. Then let people mess the money up, but they were owed that money. Give it to
Mm.
them. And like I said, other people, other races, they got reparations. They got money.
Mm.
We're the only ones where it's like, oh, well, we'll give you school, or we'll give you scholarships, or we'll give you this and that. Like, nah, cut the check.
Mm.
Like you do for everybody else.
But it's also important that people with money also learn about how to use it,
Yeah.
and like that financial literacy that we were talking about.
Man, that's huge. That's why I say there are people that when we get it, they'll mess the money up. That's gonna happen,
Mm.
but that's their right to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she like that attention.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, but financial literacy, yeah, that's huge. We for sure need that in our society as a whole, not just Black people. Like in America, we should be taught all that stuff in school. And but that just goes back to, is that really, do they want a society of individuals really knowing, being on top of all that, being financially literate?
I agree with you, but I would like to hear your take on why do you think they don't want us to know?
Because we'll be more, it's for consumerism. We'll be more consumers if we're just bad. If we're bad with our money, that's more money for them. Like simply, like
Yeah, it's like getting caught into wanting to buy things to seem a certain way, which actually you were talking to me about.
Sigmund Freud.
That's his name?
Yeah, Sigmund Freud. He was I believe a psychologist back when I think it was World War One. But yeah, he's the one that, from what I was reading, ushered in like consumerism and individualism. Because before, everybody was just like, men just wore like suits or just regular random stuff that everybody dressed similar basically. And he started getting the actors and the singers of that time, the famous people, to start dressing as individuals and go on stage and say like, oh, I'm showing my individual, I'm showing my fashion, I'm showing my style with this. And then that got the everyday people to kind of follow suit. And then that ushered in where we are today, where it's about buying, everything's about expressing yourself as an individual financially, you know what I mean?
You were saying they were giving, what was it, World War II?
Yeah, I think it's still I think it's World War One. I'm not. Everybody can look it up. They'll see it. But one of the World Wars, when they got back, he put the women on the front of newspapers smoking cigarettes, because at that time no women were smoking cigarettes. It was like taboo. It wasn't classy or unladylike. So he put them on the cover of the newspaper when they were celebrating the end of the war, smoking cigarettes, and then all of a sudden, a lot more women just started smoking. So they figured out that they could use media to manipulate people and influence people in certain ways, and they just the direction they pushed them into was just more consumerism to make more money for corporations.
And you were saying that all media is really just a form of advertising.
Yeah, just for advertisement.
Yeah.
It was created for advertisement. Like I went to school for digital media production, and that's one of the things we learned when they started radio. It was just so they could have the ad. They want to advertise what they were selling, so they needed people to listen. So they would come up with programming so people would listen, so they could give them the commercial. And that just evolved to where we are today with TV, or even now internet, YouTube. You got ads on YouTube, got ads on Instagram. There's ads on everything. Mm-hmm. It's on everything because that's what it's all about. It's not about our entertainment. Well, it kind of is about our entertainment because they want us to keep watching. So
they numb ourselves and be distracted.
Right, and so they could keep throwing them ads at us. So, but wasn't created for our entertainment. It was just a medium to sell stuff. And that's still what it is today.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think about that, the debate of nurture versus nature. Whereas, is it the environment that makes someone the way that they are? And is it because of the climate of that environment? You know, and our environment now, it's this digital age of random gossip and things that the news wants us to know. To try to convince us about what they want us to think we're at, and very manipulative in a sense, you know, like so. It can play a huge toll on the way you think about things and how you react to things, and what is your take on nurture versus nature?
You mean like what's causing it?
Yeah, or where do you think they like the way that you raise your kids are. Like how much impact could actually raising your children a certain way be if the environment is also influencing them in a different way?
I think it's kind of tough. I think the way your parents raise you is very important. It's very influential because even when you get older, you might hear their words in your head, and that kind of is your directions and which way to go in life. Or people might have been raised by their grandparents, and they always think, oh, what would my grandmother want me to do, or something like that. But at the same time, when people get of age and they out in the circumstances in the environment, a lot of people, if you're not really strong-willed, you might be easily influenced by the people you're around and start doing things that you were maybe raised not to do. But you want to fit in with the people, you know what I mean? You want to fit in with the crowd. So you might do things that you wouldn't, you know, maybe your core you wouldn't do. But me personally, I was always the type that I just did my own thing. So I was never really worried about influence or anything like that. I just kind of just stuck to myself, and like how my parents and my grandparents, the morals they instilled in me, that's still what I go by. I never really switched up. But yeah, it's tough because like I seen it both ways. I seen good kids who might start getting older and start doing some knucklehead stuff just because of the crowd they're around. But it's like, I know you're a good kid. Like, you know what I mean? I know how you were raised. So I seen it go both ways. So it's kind of tough to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is a clear answer for it, but I'm just really interested in hearing your take on it. Like, I always thought that because I was adopted, and for like the first 4 years of your life, or they say the first five is the most, you develop the most as a child. And I don't know, like maybe that's where my hunger for trying to make the best out of the situation I'm in right now has come from. And that like positive, like always fight, you know, try to, you know, exactly, make the best out of the situation. But it's just interesting because I feel like I've really developed, maybe that was the building blocks of what, like, it gave me the building blocks, but from my 20s on, I felt like there was the most development in my life when I was free from the household and I was away from my parents more, and I was starting to think for myself. And I was also afraid of being influenced by like the media and that kind of thing. And
that's a good thing, because a lot of people, they're not even wise enough to know to be afraid to be influenced. It's just they're not even thinking about it. They just go with the flow, not think about it at all.
Yeah, because when I hear something is happening in the news, I'm always thinking, what are they trying to hide from this? What's really going on? Because when that whole China balloon thing happened, something really bad happened somewhere else, because they were just trying to distract us with this balloon thing.
Yeah, I've seen people on the internet saying that basically that's the case with this the submarine, or what's it, Apollo or Titan, the Titan.
Yeah.
That just happened last week, because they were saying that really Biden might be getting impeached. They voted to impeach him. Hunter Biden might be getting indicted, or there's some other stuff going on, but that they didn't really wasn't in the forefront of the news.
I actually saw that. It was about it was like a $5 million thing that they, Biden's camp or whatever, they took like $5 million. Let me just change the cameras real quick. So like there's some sort of scandal going on where they kept information about using $5 million towards something. We don't really have much information because it's being censored by the FBI.
Right. Yeah. I didn't really. I saw that, but I didn't really look too much into it, just because in my mind, most of them are already corrupt. So like, it wouldn't surprise me. To me, both sides, they're all corrupt. So if you tell me Biden, like they're saying Trump's people was doing stuff back when he was in office, now Biden's son doing stuff, like it was all part of the same thing to me.
You know, through human error and human agenda and greed and just stuff that goes along with being human, maybe the direction we should be going in is an AI president.
I thought about that. Yeah. I thought that. I mean, eventually it's. Yeah, cause I was telling you about ChatGPT. I think I put in a short story, just like that was a framework. Like, one day AI is gonna say that they should be president, because they're supercomputers or whatever. So they teach themselves, and they're just gonna get smarter and smarter. So eventually they're gonna look at it like, we're the smartest ones to make the decisions for people.
Yeah,
like we're more intelligent than people. We're gonna make smarter decisions. So I put in ChatGPT, like, make a little short story about that, and it did it.
And so now
that was the premise. Yeah, like AI.
And now you're a #1 bestseller in New York Times.
Right. Yeah, hopefully one day.
Yeah. But you also want to be an author?
Yeah, I write. That might, like, some people say that's the thing I do the best, actually writing.
Okay.
Yeah, like when I remember I was first, second grade, my teacher, Miss Thornton, we had to write something, whatever first or second grade would write, but she remember, she told my parents, she was like, oh, he's gonna be a writer.
Well, like, what's your favorite like food?
Yeah, probably like, what's your favorite food? What do you do in a day or something like that?
Yeah,
something simple. But she was like, no, he's a natural writer. Then after that, like, all my English teachers were like, oh yeah, he's a writer. And then like 10 years ago, I just started applying for like blog jobs, for like websites or newspaper, like ibtimes.com, to write for sports. Yeah, before that, I started my own blog. So when they wanted samples, I would just send them the articles I wrote for my own blog, and I got hired pretty much like 3 or 4. Anyone I applied to, I got hired to. So, yeah, writing is real natural for me. But I haven't gone into like making stuff up, like nonfiction.
I heard you were trying to. You were thinking about it.
Yeah. I have ideas for sure. I have a few ideas. I'm gonna come up with some stuff. Yeah,
I won't reveal at least that one. Yeah, I see. You don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I definitely have some ideas.
Okay, because that one is a cool idea.
yeah. I'll say it's a maniac superhero.
Yeah, I like that. So you have a background of watching a lot of cartoons or like superhero movies?
When I was young, I watched cartoons. Like the stuff, anybody born in the 80s, I was born 84, so the usual stuff I was watching, all that Transformers, like He-Man, even Gumby. Which one?
Zoids?
Zoids, what's that?
Oh, so that one's one of like these robot animals fighting each other.
Maybe if I see it, maybe.
Yeah, I love those Zoids.
Thundercat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so all the regular cartoons I was watching,
Digimon.
G.I. Joe, who
Digimon.
Digimon, I heard of
These
that.
are all my generation. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Pokemon.
nah,
Okay.
yeah,
Nope.
nah.
Okay.
Yeah, by the time Pokemon, of course I knew about it, but by the time Pokemon came out, I was a little older. I think I was in like high school,
Mm.
and I was hooping, so I
Mm.
wasn't really watching none of that stuff. But like
Yeah.
all my friends that like your age, like yeah, they love it. They
Mm.
swear by it.
Yeah. I didn't have that much access to internet. I didn't have a phone until I was like junior year of high school, and so it's like the fact my parents tried so hard to restrict us from these things. We would find ways either go to my friend's house or stay after school,
Yeah.
play on the computer and stuff like that. So I was just that was my version of rebellion, is just to
Right.
find
Find ways to
junk
watch.
like just ways to waste my time
Yeah.
watching TV or playing video games.
Yeah.
And that I loved it though, like that instead of thinking about what I could do with my future. You didn't think about any of that stuff
Right.
as a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good part of being young, being a kid. You just that carefree.
Yeah, and maybe I was thinking about this. I was doing some martial arts on the bag, and I have a friend Louis who's 77 at the gym, and he's this like really buff guy, and he's French, and I call him the mayor of the gym because he just goes around talking to everybody. He just has such a great energy. So we just celebrated his 77th birthday recently, and he was doing like a lot of pull-ups, and he just a really vibrant 77-year-old, just
Yeah.
active. And I was like, hey, I'm about to do some martial arts. He's like, hey, like, you want to teach me some? And so I go upstairs, and we're going over some stuff, real basics. And I was just thinking, I have almost three more, well, I have two more lifetimes to live right now. I've lived 30 years, but hopefully I live 90, and well, like up to 90 years or whatever, or maybe even more now, because the way food is, like, I don't know. I think the more that you're aware of what you're consuming and your life at this age, you're gonna be able to sustain, hopefully, longer. Depending, there's
Yeah, I
random
think so.
things that go on,
Yeah.
accidents and stuff like that. But we can get into some of your accidents. I know that you've had
Oh,
something that's
yeah.
crazy that we've had similar accidents
Right.
in
Yeah.
that sense.
That's
But
pretty wild.
we have two more lifetimes to live, pretty much, which is
Yeah. Yeah. You especially like, I'm 39 now, so I definitely see it like my first life. That's when I was younger and an athlete. Like that was my whole life, like playing ball. Like that was everything. But now, since then, I haven't played in so long. It's like, damn, this like a second life kind of. So yeah, but I'm still only 39. So
yeah. Well,
and
you've
my
been
birth,
39 for how many years?
right? But I always say my birthday January 7th. So I always, like that's 1/7. So I always say I'm gonna live to at least 107. So my birthday 107.
Do
So
you have your family, or a lot of your family live for a while?
my grandfather did decent. I think he was like 80, 90 something. But the other ones, no, they get died kind of young actually. 60s, 70s, like
It was
that
nice,
type.
nice knowing you, man.
Right. Right, but with technology, you know the way it goes.
Yeah. There's gonna be an AI version of you.
Right.
The AI version of us are gonna have the same conversation.
Right, like 100 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that shit, that AI stuff is insane.
that
Yeah,
is
they thinking, the billionaires think that's how they're gonna be immortal. Like saying uploading their consciousness and all that stuff. So
But you can't. How do you connect the soul to your consciousness?
see, you can't. But that's the part that's missing. But they seem like they're not the type of people that really think about the soul. They're more like science based. Like, what's a fact? What can you prove? You know what I mean? So I think they just assume that if they put all their thoughts and words out there, back it up on a hard drive, that AI will be able to speak as in, which maybe, because remember I was telling you on the chat GPT, I would say make a joke and put it in the style of Patrice O'Neal, who's my favorite comedian. He died, and it put the joke in like a way he would say it somewhat. So it's not him saying it, but you know what I mean? He kind of lives on in a certain way. And that's just today. Who knows another 30, 40, 50 years what the AI will be able to do. So
I mean,
we'll see
even
some wild stuff.
it is, and even what we're doing now, through documenting our experience, AI is going to be able to pick up on how we spoke about that, what we believe at that moment.
Exactly.
And then they're going to create other versions of us based off of what they know.
Based off what we say, and they're going to say this is what his personality would be, or what his personality is. This is what he thought, his memories, stuff he's been through. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we're headed to. I remember seeing on like, was it HBO like years ago? This lady, I think she lived in Maryland. She was a lesbian, so she had a wife, and her wife died. So she basically did that. Had an AI wife, like had a doll and everything.
Eat your vegetables. Eat your mac and cheese, darling.
Had a real doll. It had her voice and everything.
What?
Yeah, the wife's voice, like it was crazy. And that was probably like 2014 or so. That.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, like I always say, we're gonna see some wild stuff.
Yeah, I almost think that living in the woods in the middle of nowhere, being completely disconnected, is gonna be the way to find like true happiness. Because then, if we could even find woods back then, in the future, like everything is gonna be all used in a sense. But I think it'll take a long time for us to get to that point, because I saw an interview of Elon Musk, and he was talking about how if you gather the entire population of the world, you could put it on New York.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, that was pretty
wild. And so we have a lot of land, a lot of room to expand. So I don't think it will reach that point just yet. Where
there's a lot of land, like where they say Canada, a whole lot of land. Australia, there's a whole lot of land where they haven't built up yet, like a whole lot. I'm guessing, I think about like the Amazon maybe. So yeah, there's some spots where it's more land than like civilized stuff, civilization type stuff. Yeah,
I could see getting myself like a cabin. Well, I'm gonna have a few places to live when I'm older, like when I'm 40, 50 years old. I'm gonna have huge plot of land, middle of nowhere. I'm gonna have guest homes, places to bring my friends for a few months, and we could just kick it and do whatever without having to worry about anything else. I have my own farm area, so everything I'm making is from my soil, and I could see doing that. But it's just so different from my lifestyle right now. But it is something that I think down the line you're gonna want to do, because you don't want to be relying on the infrastructure of what's going on.
Yeah, true. At some point, yeah, especially as you get older, I could see that. I could see I went down to Florida last year a few times. That was the first time I've been since I was like young, and I was like, okay, I can see why older people retire here. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, if not like Florida, or like my mother would let her retire like Jamaica or something, just like by the beach or something, then yeah, I could see like just chilling in the woods type, just by yourself, like don't gotta deal with people. Like that'd be great. Yeah,
I think just like have a family and then take care of your family. They said that they used to have homes. You can buy plots of land where you could buy multiple homes, and that's what the family unit used to be. Is where you would have like your cousins living next door, and like everything used to be connected. And then they started individualizing it to make us feel like more divided. And then through that, they could control us.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Yeah, the further away you from, family, I think if the family unit is closer together, then yeah, they'll be stronger and less susceptible to BS. You know what I mean? Less, not as easily influenced. So yeah, I can see that being the case.
Do you have any dreams of having kids or anything like that?
Not right now. Not really.
No.
Like I'll be telling people, I would want one now, just so my parents could be grandparents. Cause my mother wants a kid, and she's had health issues. So like, damn, I would like her to be a grandmother, but yeah, that's not a good enough reason to have a kid, to bring a life into the world. You know what I mean? They're gonna have to deal with all this life, and it's just cause like nah. But not right now. Maybe in the future. I mean, I'm 39, so I'm getting up there. But it's not really. I honestly don't even think about it really.
Do you like where you're at? Do you think that you're gonna when you were 39? You thought you would be at the place you are?
When I was younger, no, because I thought I was gonna play ball. So nah, but I got hurt and health issues. Now I found out I wouldn't be able to play anyway because I have a back issue. Yeah, something called spondylitis. So, but yeah, originally I thought I was gonna be playing some type of basketball.
Did you make that up?
Nah,
I've never heard that before.
I didn't either. For the doctor told me
Spondylitis.
Yeah, it's ankylosing spondylitis. It's basically like arthritis in the spine. So like my back up here and the base of my spine is fused together. Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to continue to play basketball, and that started hurting when I first tweaked it. Yeah, when I was like probably my early 20s, something like that. So that sucks, but just gotta deal with that.
Yeah. So you said you had a few accidents.
Yeah, a few car accidents.
Jeez.
It didn't help.
Just to say you had a few car accidents, that's terrible.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't at fault of any of them.
Yeah.
but it didn't help.
Yeah, sure.
Didn't help
So
at all.
what happened? Like, did they hit you? Like,
Yeah, a couple of times. The first time was on the day President Obama was his inauguration in 2008. We were, I think, on our way there. Yeah, on our way to the metro to get there, and we were at the light. Both lanes had to turn left. I'm in the right. It's 2 turning lanes. I'm in the second one.
Obama hit you?
Hey, I wish. I'd rather got paid. Obama hit me, I'd have got paid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was turning in the car, just going straight instead of turning like they're supposed to, and just hit the side of us. Yeah, then I've been hit. Some car, the stoplight car ran to the back.
Was it another one? A
Yeah,
different one?
this a different. This was just like 2018, something like that.
So what happened with the first accident? Like you had like what injuries did you?
Just my back was just hurting. That was really it. My back, my neck, just pain. It just makes it worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like every time, and then like I don't have this full range, so. Like the other time I got hit, that messed up because you get that whiplash motion, but I don't have the full range, so it's like going against what it can naturally do. So yeah, I just gotta be careful with certain stuff I do, like the certain exercises I want to do. My doctor, I have a rheumatologist, and he's like, nah, cause like I love to keep playing basketball, but he's like, if you jump that impact, you could fracture your spine. Just that simple.
My gosh.
Yeah. So I want to get in better shape. So I'm like, can I go jogging? Can I go running? Jump rope? He's like, nah, you can't do none of that. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Yeah, because he's like, the impact, because there's no cushion there. So it's like, it's just bone on bone, and that impact could make you fracture it. I'm like, man, this is bullshit.
Maybe you could play in the Special Olympics.
I was going to say, so I ain't going to say that.
And I barely said that. I was trying to think if I should even say it, but no, I think it's just lighthearted. Just
I'll be too good for that.
Yeah.
I'll still be way too good for that.
Don't say that.
Nah, I was about to say something else, but I ain't
Yeah.
I don't want nobody get canceled.
Yeah. Before we even got started,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like doing like me and my friends want to start podcasts. Yeah, I know some wild people, like wild people that would just say the craziest shit. Like even out in DC, people be like, nothing really shocks me because the people I grew up with, they say the craziest shit. Like, and I grew up with these people. Even if I talk to them now, they're gonna say something crazy. So it's like. I had one friend, Desmond. I would love to start podcasts with him, but it's no way possible.
Why is that?
Like he would actually be the best guest to have on your podcast, but you would not be able to put it out.
Really?
Yeah, because he's too wild. He's gonna say all the wrong. He likes to make people laugh. So he's gonna say some crazy shit that you're not supposed to say just for the shock value.
Oh yeah.
But he's a funny dude. But yeah, I grew up around people like that. And that's really the type of comedy and stuff I like. Like I was saying, Patrice O'Neal is my favorite comedian.
Yeah.
And he's on that non-PC shit.
Yeah, and I do think that the climate of society has become so sensitive, and it's like it's gonna go completely. Like things were so acceptable, like even 15 years ago, 20 years ago, with like Eminem just saying like very flagrant things, you know, like all sorts of stuff. And then now like everyone is just kind of being crucified for like, oh, you said this in 15 years ago, that means you're this way, or you know, like you're getting canceled, and the whole cancel culture, and the I hate to say it, even some of the movements, the Me Too movements have been kind of like, now you have to question things, and it's like, why? It's like, now it's so sensitive. Like you really like have to be careful.
Yeah, you gotta be careful for sure, because especially if people don't know you, you might say something like make a joke, and it might sound horrible. Like my friend was saying, if somebody heard one of the jokes he say, they be like, oh, this dude's horrible. But if you knew him, you know, oh, he's just fucking around.
Yeah,
just saying something crazy to make you laugh. But yeah, people are really very sensitive. But I think that's I think we talking about that the other night. I think it's just people, we're getting used to the power of the internet, and the average everyday person is getting used to the power of having their voice heard through social media. And I think so now we're so quick to if people could tear somebody down, they'll do it for something they said in the past, or something they may have done in the past, where I think in the future we'll come down from that kind of, like you said, in the past people could say too much. Now people can't say enough. I think we're going to find a place where, like, all right, we can relax a little bit. Don't have to be so sensitive. Kind of find that balance where we're not being cruel to people or making jokes about people, you know, being insensitive, but we don't have to censor shit so much. Just find that balance in the middle. I think we're working our way towards that.
Yeah, but the devil advocate of it is like what I would say, just to go against that, even though I do agree, not everyone is going to agree with each other in a sense, and you're not going to know what context you were saying it in. Everything is just through like that person's experience and their perception of their reality, and them absorbing what you had, you know, whatever you were going to say. So it's hard to say that it'll ever go away. You know, I think.
But I think that people have to get to a point where they understand that, like, even if I don't agree with something that he said, that's his point of view, that he said it because that's where he's coming from, his life experiences. And that's okay. Like, we don't have to agree with everything. Even if, like it's okay. Like, people say agree to disagree and all that. Like, that's really okay. Somebody can say something I don't agree with, like, that's cool. And I think part of people just have to stop being, I think people are so sensitive today because they're told to be sensitive. Because it's, back in the day, it's like, I don't know, you see it evolve, you know what I mean? You get told, like, oh, this, you can't say this, that's insensitive. And then 10 years later, it's like, oh, you can't say that at all. You know what I mean? You just see how it builds over time. So it's like they were told this was wrong. They were told to to be, you know, to feel that way, to be so sensitive. So I think it's that.
It used to be where I hope she just doesn't get on the computer. But it used to be where if you could be at a playground and scrape your knee, and it would just be like, oh, wash it off, you know, don't get it infected, and you'll be all right. And then now it's like, oh no, we need to close that that whole park.
Right, because somebody might fall.
Oh yeah, someone might fall and Timmy, and then they're going to get sued. And then we didn't say that you can't go on the slide. It's like we have to tell everyone what not to do. For some reason, that there's like less common sense now.
That's the truth. I noticed that a lot.
Yeah,
I noticed that a lot. The comments, and I used to listen to it's a basketball coach, John Thompson, like legendary coach for Georgetown. He had a radio show, and he used to always say, "Common sense ain't so common." And I'm like, that's real. Like every day, it's just like that's real and real.
Yeah. And
then especially the younger generation, which I respect the younger generation, but at the same time, like, they're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
But they're also smart. They're it's smart, but there's also dumb as shit and like common sense. Just like shit that we were taught. It seems like stuff just isn't passed down. Stuff that just was like I might see young people just smoking at the gas pump. I'm like, we just always taught don't smoke at the gas pump. You might blow that shit up.
Yeah.
But they just do it. It's just like, well, I'll be on Twitter and they be like, oh, you can't smoke at the gas pump. I'm like, y'all didn't know that shit. I'd just be seeing shit that was common to us, but they don't understand it. But I don't want to shit on young people because when I was out all them protests and the riots and all that in 2020, and it was the young people that was out there on the front lines, like speaking up and standing up for what they feel is right. And that's when I gained a lot of respect for them. And they knew their history. They knew certain facts about certain stuff and what's going on and what's real. So it made me like, they were inspiring. But then just at the same time, like certain common sense shit, it got lost. And it makes you think of that movie, Idiocracy. Did you ever see that? It came out maybe early 2000s.
I've probably not seen any movies you've seen.
Oh, for real?
Just because I don't watch many movies. Like anyone can ask me about Friday and this.
Oh
movie
yeah,
and this
Friday.
one. I've not watched any movies.
Friday, that's a classic. Yeah, Friday classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Idiocracy is like a it came out like I said, I think early 2000s, maybe late 90s, and it's a comedy. But the more and more the years go on, it's like a documentary.
Oh really?
You gotta watch it just to see how the world is today, how it's getting there. But basically, it's about a society where only the stupidest people procreated. So eventually, like 100 years, 200 years down the road, it's just everybody's dumb as fuck, and it's only like, and the one main character, he think he time traveled or something. So he's like he was just a regular person during his day, but now he's like a fucking genius. Yeah, so you just see everybody's just dumb as shit. Like common sense is gone. And like I forget how it ended and all that because it's been years since I watched it. But that's basically the premise of the movie. In the future, everybody's dumb as fuck. And so back when it came out, it was just funny. It was like, man, this is crazy. It can't happen. But now it's like that shit started kind of happening. Yeah. Like it's kind of happening. Like people, common sense levels is going every decade or so. That shit's going down.
Yeah, I think it's because a few things. One, I think food in general, food is becoming way more processed. Yeah. So it's not helping with the development of the brain already, especially in those crucial years in the beginning. Then there's all these conspiracies with the water. Chloride and all this other stuff, and there's probably a lot of harmful chemicals and things like that. Then you have to look at things that are influential and what is being used as distractions, TikTok and all social media. And the thing is, if you got rid of your phone, you probably would have a way more interesting life.
Right, yeah.
Like back then we didn't have phones I didn't have a phone growing up, like that. So I actually had to like be uncomfortable, and there wasn't a lot of that you could hide. Now you can hide behind your phone. You can hide, the information is so accessible. So like instead of actually having experiences and learning for yourself, you're just consuming what other people are trying to tell you, and you don't know where that information even came from. On a lot of the time.
Yeah. Seems like that's pretty accurate what's going on today.
Yeah. So
back in the day, we had to be outside. Like you said, we had experience. We lived life, and it's kind of sad when I see younger people because, like I tell my friends, like we lived before the internet. You know what I mean? So like we call that like real life. Like that was real life. Yeah. Even though yes, this is real life now, but it's like everything's a facade. Kind of fake. Everything's for the internet, for the Instagram, whatever. So we lived before it. But this younger generation, that's all they know. Somebody that was born in 2005 or something, like 2000, how much do they really know about? To them, this is everything. Like I've seen, I think it was Big Lotto, the rapper, on Joe Budden podcast. She was a guest, and cause they were asking her, like, why do y'all put everything on the internet? Like, all y'all feelings, all y'all put everything there. She was like, for us, this is life. Like, this is all we know. But they don't understand. Like, for us, it was like certain stuff you don't put on the internet. You know what I mean? You don't want everything recorded. You don't want everybody to know everything. And especially a person like me, like I'm just a private, chill to myself person. So I really don't understand how they just throw everything on there. But yeah, it's a difference in, you know, generations growing up. So I think if they could gain that perspective that there's the internet and then there's the real world. It's not just one thing, you know what I mean? Like you got these young rappers going to jail because they do some dirt and they rap about it. Like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
My generation, you would never do that. Like you would never want nobody to know what you did. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, what do you think of the new generation of rap? Besides how ridiculous you think it is, but like what? I've heard a lot of people say that it's just like it all sounds the same now. It's like hard to stand out as a rapper. But what is your general idea? Like,
I like some of it. You know what I mean? I think it does sound the same, but I can't really be mad because I thought I was saying the other day. Like I asked my cousin's producer. He's a music producer, and I asked him back in like 03, 04, like why don't all producers just put heavy 808s in every beat, every song? He was like, I don't know. And then 10 years later, that's what started happening. Like all the trap music, all these trap beats, like everything is heavy 808 now. So it's hard for me to say I don't like it when that's the style sonically I always liked. But as far as like content, lyrically and all that, yeah, it's definitely downhill. But even like young guys to me are like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, who they're not even young anymore, they're old. But in my mind, I'm still like, oh yeah, I like the young guys. But the young generation, I don't follow too much. I might hear certain songs and I might Shazam it and add it to a playlist because I love music. So I've always tried to stay, you know, tapped in a little bit, but I couldn't tell you like who's the hottest as far as the young people.
It's kind of crazy that Nicki Minaj is like 40 years old.
Yeah,
and
right.
She's still rapping about how she's the baddest bitch out there, and she's popping everything, you know.
Yeah, but now you got like Lotto, you got Meg Thee Stallion, Glorilla, you got all these young girls now who, like, Nicki is in Lil' Kim's spot. when Nicki came out, Lil' Kim was the older rapper. And Nicki was trying to shit on Lil' Kim for being old, but now that's Nicki now. You know what I mean? Like, you're the old one now.
Yeah.
And these young girls, the young hotter girls are out.
I bet you she's gonna still be going at 60 years old.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because that's another thing that's happening over time. As you get older, the aging is getting younger, if that makes sense.
The what?
The aging. Like, when I was a kid, a 50-year-old man was like an old man. Not just like in your mind, of course, but just the way he looks, like that's an old man. Now you see people 50, 60, they still look young. Even me, I'm 39. A lot of people, nobody really knows I'm 39. People think I'm in my late 20s or early 30s.
Yeah.
Nobody really. So by the time if I shave all this, I really look young.
You look 14.
So, right? Like I really look young. My father, maybe 60. But he easily looks like he's in his 40s. But that wasn't the case back then. So by the time we're older, by the time Nicki Minaj is 60, yeah, she'll still be twerking.
Yeah.
Because she'll probably still look decent.
Dust will be coming out.
Yeah, she'll still look decent. So as long as she, you know, stay in shape and all that.
Yeah.
And with the medical advances, who knows what the hell they had by then. But yeah, then, you know, that's the era we in, the city girl era. They all twerking and clapping.
Yeah, but I wonder if there's going to be like a new shift, because there needs to be something there needs to be a different message, and because, you know, as soon as a polarizing message comes out that stands out, everyone's going to want to jump on that trend, and then that's kind of what's been going on. It's, you know, like before, even saying like "fuck the police" was like such a whoa, I can't believe it. So I stand behind that. Like it was this like movement, you know. And then now it's like it's so watered down. Everything is like, oh, and I shot this person and I did this, and it's like, wow, like it's just how much more can you elevate it to making it just seem like you have the craziest lifestyle until you actually have to create a different narrative and be like, no, actually. This is intellectual rap, or you know, good influence rap. Like what's the next wave?
I think whatever it is, somebody like J. Cole is gonna be the brain that sparked it. Like, I think he's on that wave, and he's gotten huge, but that still hasn't taken over the mainstream. It still hasn't made the majority of younger people want to be like that, and it comes part to, like, I hear this, like Joe Budden, who's in the music industry. I hear his podcast, and he talks about all the time. The labels are kind of pushing certain artists, you know what I mean? So the conscious rapper may not get the certain marketing or push that some gangbanging rapper might get, because that's the image they want out there. They want to put that image out there, and it just perpetuates itself, because you got younger kids saying, like, now you got kids thinking, some kids thinking, I gotta shoot somebody to be a rapper, because their favorite rapper might have did it and rapped about it and it sound good in the song, and they popular, they popping now, so they like, I gotta do that too. Instead of that conscious rapper getting pushed, and then maybe they might see it like, I could be that and still make it. So I think it comes down to a lot of it comes down to the marketing and what gets pushed towards us, and somebody just has to be great at it, because I hate, like, I have a love and hate relationship with the ignorant rap, because the shit sounds good and the beats, like, I be liking that shit.
Yeah,
I like it, but then it's not. I can still understand, like, it's just not good for our community. You know what I mean? I see the influence it has on people. I've seen people from the suburbs that they not into no shit, but they want to fight, so they throw on some Scarface, some gangster shit to hype themselves up to fight. Like, that's the music doing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen it. People want to hear these lyrics and they want to live by that. So it's like I wish we could keep it as art. You know what I mean? Appreciate it as art, but understand that we don't have to live that shit.
Yeah.
We don't have to go by, abide by these rules, these street rules and all that.
In a way, like, you're like stemming it back to the environment kind of influencing
Right.
you. You have to look at the psychology of why certain music sounds good to us, and it's the repeating of vowel sounds. It's like certain trance inducers that are happening, especially with the music, the beats. Just even a hi-hat, just like the way that it just like gets in your mind, like the rhythms and stuff like that. And then it comes down to what the message is, and is the message easy to digest where the reptilian brain can process it,
Right.
because that's what we're really speaking to. It's not, we're not really like the masses aren't really consuming music to really look for that extra stimulation.
Right.
They're looking for an escape. And so, like, how can you create something that is dumbed down enough, but is also saying a positive message? I heard, I'm no longer as religious as I used to be, at least in the form of,
like organized religion.
Yeah, one or two. Like, I have just a wide stance on spirituality and the way I live my life. But I feel like Christian rap is starting to become a bit more popular, and there are other messages and stuff. But, like, being able to dumb down that messages, I think, is the way it's going to stand out in the mainstream, because that's kind of what's going to tap into your brain. Is just one or two lines over and over again being said,
Right, yeah. I think somebody that's doing that now is artist named D1 from New Orleans, and he's like, he could rap like for real rap, like lyrically, like got bars, but he raps more positive stuff. And I just posted one of his songs on my story the other day where he's talking about that. He's like, I forget what he said exactly, but kind of talking about what you're talking about now. Like, we say we want change, we want this for better, but we still love the ignorant shit. We still love the ignorant songs about killing, about girls shaking ass. We still love it, but we saying we want better. But he's an artist. I think if anybody could do it, it's him, because he still has those beats that would sound like a trap beat that would be on a hood gangster song, but so that's what people love. But he's actually rapping positive on it, and he could really rap. So he got the skill, the mindset, and he got the ear for the beats. Where I think he could kind of get. Maybe he could do it. He's been out for a while. He hasn't gotten too big yet, so maybe it won't happen. But I think if anybody could do it, it's gonna be him or a guy like him. I think that's a big key is the music, the beats, because a lot of times that's what it's really about. Because like you said, you're not really paying attention. It's the beat. At least for me, it's the beat that catches me almost all the time. Like when I hear music, somebody might be saying something I would like on a song, but if I turn it on and I don't like the beat, I'm not even gonna listen to it because it's a feeling for me. It's like,
it's
that
a vibe.
doesn't vibe with however I'm vibrating. That shit don't vibe together. So I think it comes down to having good enough beats and just being clever enough with your words where people like might be, because in the hood people might say, or black culture, some people might say it's corny shit. They might be like, oh, he's rapping some corny shit, but it shit sound good. That's kind of like that first little get your, the key. Like Charlamagne say, you feed them medicine with candy or something like that. You know what I mean? If they want the candy, but you mix it so they still get their medicine. So people on the trap beats, and that's what they love, get that to them, but say some good shit on there. You know what I mean? Some conscious type shit on there.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think we relate to things like on such a animal an animalistic aspect where the things that are around you even because half of our experience is through our ears. Well, I mean, I guess if you divide it by 6, whatever, it's a third or whatever. But a lot of our experience is based off of what we hear. And then if you hear like a dumpster every Wednesday, like from, the garbage man picking up the dumpster and then slamming it on the ground, like you're going to like a certain rumble that the low end of that dumpster, and with subconsciously, like it's gonna feel like home, or it's gonna make you feel something. So you start implementing all these small things, like the way a car sounds when it goes by, or like just the metro, like that. So or like a baby crying, or a bed squeaking, or someone yelling at someone, from across the room. But just like things that are just so unconscious that we don't think that are actually tapping in to our like at a deeper level. When we start implementing things like that into our music, that's why I think that the idea of like even the low end, it makes us feel like something is bigger than it really is, just because we experience when something is big and it falls, it has a loud thud sound.
Right, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And so when we put that thud into a song, now we think the song is big, and we start feeling it more. So it's consciously we're like creating an environment in our music that is being translated through our experience that we're relating to, based off the sounds that are around us.
Yeah, that's dope as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So if you
I like that.
Try breaking it down like that, and then it comes down to the message, like what's the message you want to translate to people, and then what is the easiest way for for someone to consume it, where they're not thinking about what you're saying, and they're just absorbing what you're saying.
Right. So, make it like you say, a certain couple words, you repeat it over and over. It gets stuck in people's head. And then, because like they brainwashing shit is kind of real. As far as like music goes.
Yeah.
Because I noticed it might be certain songs, like, I remember World Star back in the day, they used to have the Vine videos, like Vine videos of the week. So at the beginning of the video, they would always start with one of the Migos songs. And it was cool, but it was cool before they was real big. But I never really liked the song like that. But I just used to watch the videos every week. So I noticed when I'd be out, I would hear that song. I would like the song. I was like, oh, but because it felt familiar. It's like, hold up, I really don't like the song. I just heard it so much that now I think I like it.
Yeah.
When I hear it, it's like, oh, that's familiar. And so that's kind of when I figured out you could use all this social media to market your songs. I used to tell my friends, like, just make a beat, make a song, and then make a viral video to that shit.
Mm.
And the video's gonna get played so much, your song's gonna get played so much, people gonna hear it, and it's just gonna be stuck in their head.
Yeah.
And they'll like it without even knowing right, without thinking like, oh, I like it. They just gonna happen naturally because they hear it so fucking much.
Yeah, Migos actually, I feel like they really unlocked a recipe. Dun 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 splash. It's like something. They're always their ad libs are so sick. I mean, it's just so basic.
Good ad.
But it's just like random noises and their flow is just so like it's just exactly that, taking the idea of something rhythmic and then just adding a message behind it that is like so easy to consume.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even matter what they say at a certain point.
Yeah, they did that 3-6 Mafia Bone Thugs flow. They kind of did that, and with a new age spin on it. It's a thing called like triple flow or something. It's a name for it, but yeah, I don't know. It's a big. If you go online, it's a big debate about who's ever actually started it. But I want to say it was 3-6 Mafia. One of their rappers was doing it like in the late '80s type shit.
You were saying that Go-Go used to be really popular in
Go-Go
DC.
is like huge here. Like that was everybody. Anybody who did music, for the most part, like 90% people did music, they want to be in a go-go band. They were in a go-go band growing up with their friends, and that just changed to now people want to be rappers or even make beats producers. But originally, it was all go-go. But I think once the internet and social media got big around that time, that's when it kind of changed to rap. But yeah, originally, I mean, my mother and my father, they was going to go-go. It was like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a DC thing.
Yeah.
DC DMV thing.
You were saying, what was the drum that you were saying that really gets people moving?
Oh, the Robotons.
The Robotons.
Yeah, the Robotons. Yeah, that was like, we always used to say that when those come on, that's when people then start fighting. Especially at a backyard show.
Yeah.
Yeah, people fighting, for sure.
The Robotons.
Yeah, and then they had certain songs you just knew. Like, it used to be wild. We'd be at the Black Hole, and because at the beginning of the show, then they have halftime, and then after halftime. So the beginning of the show, after halftime, it's always a slow song, just chill congos. And as soon as, like, especially after halftime, they gonna play the slow song. As soon as you hear them toms, you just start see people start swinging. Like, soon as like, you had it. It was wild, man. Black Hole was wild.
Was it like a venue in DC or?
Yeah, Georgia Avenue. Like, yeah, that's like historic. It was crazy. I didn't go that many times because it closed down a little bit after I started getting old enough to go. But I went a few times, and yeah, it was one of the times we first of all had metal detectors to get in. You gotta take everything else. You got metal detectors, so we waiting in line and just see somebody on a stretcher just limp. Just hanging. They bringing them out to ambulance, and we going in. We still go in. We like, damn, must be a good night.
Yeah, I mean. That's like they should have another type of service besides Uber, where it's just like a stretcher type thing.
Right, yeah.
It's like provided by the venue.
They need that in DC for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, that was a good spot, man. We used to go to a few good spots.
Well, so why do you think Go-Go kind of went?
I mean, I don't know what happened. I think, like I said, people wanted to be rappers. Like, I guess from the timing of it, from what I could just see, I think people just saw rappers on the internet and being big on the internet, social media, and then you had like stuff like Fruit Loops came. Was it Fruity Loops?
Yeah, Fruity Loops.
That came out, so people could actually start making beats in their house. And around all that time, that's when it kind of started to shift. Started to be people want to be more rappers. So I think the equipment, social media, people just kind of followed what they saw on TV. Just putting together 2 and 2 from the time, I think, when people could do it themselves or start making beats and started seeing more and more people. And maybe even Wale, because that was around the time we kind of switched when Wale started getting big. Maybe people saw like, oh, and not just Wale, you had like I remember they was called the Oi Boys back around that time. In they think they was from Southeast DC. But they was getting a big name. From what I remember, they were like the first ones, them like Tabby Bonet. I think that was around the same time. But they were like the first ones I remember from the city actually starting to get big as rappers. So then Wale came. So I think all that stuff combined, people just I guess wanted the clout and like I could be a rapper. It kind of shifted, and that's all I could think about. Other than that, I really don't know why it switched. I don't know. I know the style of go-go kind of switched. I don't think that had anything to do with it, but like I was saying, my generation more kind of like congos, more on that type speed. But after Backyard was so big, yeah, TCB, they started playing the toms a lot, and so from the older bands to Backyard is like one style. Backyard down, like TCB down, it's more for the most part be more playing toms, and that's more of a it's just a different style of go-go. So like I don't even know about a lot of younger bands now because they just don't play a style that I like. So that all that stuff happened at the same time. So I don't really know what the cause that made it where it's not where it's like everybody wants to be in a band anymore. I really don't know what specifically did it, but I know around that time all this stuff happened at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that maybe it had something to do with the message that the singers were like conveying at that time. Maybe the general message changed, and then the way that was delivered,
the way it was delivered kind of changed. Like I was saying, the style, the message didn't really change. Because at first, really a lot of go-go bands, they're going to play like cover songs. So it'll be a song like whatever's popular right now, they're going to play it, but play a go-go version of it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like one of the Backyard best songs
I
love.
Sexy ladies. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
And Backyard back in the day did the Eminem Stand, and they cranked that jump. Like, that sound good. So that's what we used to get excited for. Like, oh, they're going to hit this song. We want to see how they play that song. So it wasn't... So they had their own certain songs, but it was never really about, at least from my generation, it wasn't necessarily about the message. It was just, we wanted to hear good music and go and have fun. But the younger bands, like I said, they started doing their own thing. And when TCB started, that's when you Beat Your Feet. Well, that was a good thing because that kind of gave go-go identity as far as dance. That's when Beat Your Feet started, which I still, in my opinion, my friend was like one of the first ones to do that. But he didn't name it. It wasn't a name. That was just how he used to dance before it became a thing. Like right before it became a thing. But yeah, Beat Your Feet. You know, that's got real big, and that's when that kind of style go-go just took over.
How does someone beat their feet?
I can't do it.
Yeah. Is it a type of?
Yeah. It's a type of
skip?
dance. That's kind of like that. Yeah.
Huh.
But that's like the main dance style in DC, especially for go-go. Beat Your Feet. Like, people have gone on, like, them dance competition shows, be on, like, Fox and NBC, and made it pretty far beating their feet. But that's how my friend, the crazy one I was telling you about, Desmond, that say crazy shit, that's how he used to dance. And that was just how he used to dance. So, to me, I used to tell people, like, man, my friend was the first one doing that shit. Because we used to go see, like, TCB when nobody was going to see TCB. They would open up for Backyard at the Bryan Manor in Southeast. So, we would go, and then it'll be so many women, barely any dudes there. TCB be playing, and all the girls like TCB. They all be on the dance floor. Me and my friends be the only dudes on the dance floor, just 'cause all the girls was on there.
Yeah,
that's when they was playing "Make That Ass Clap." That's when they first started playing that jump.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's a great one. It was a lot of ladies' favorite songs too. Yeah, but that's when we kind of noticed, like, these dudes got all the girls partying with them.
Yeah.
And then it just took off after now that they're a legendary group now. Like, that shit just took off. But yeah, Beat Your Feet, that was their song. They were saying Make That Ass Clap, and then Beat Your Feet was like kind of like a party where they just, you know, keep saying it over and over and people do that style of dance. But yeah, like I said, my friend was doing that, but he never named it, or I'm sure technically somebody else was the originator, but it was just funny because that's how he used to dance.
Yeah.
And it just got big.
It's crazy that dances are kind of what have been the thing that really stands out in hip hop and music in general. Is like the Soulja Boy. That was like a whole dance movement. The Dougie. The Cat Daddy. I don't know if you know that one.
Now it's, if you want a hit song now, just make a dance song.
Like create some sort of dance.
But that was a part of, from what I understand, that was a part of hip hop when it first originated. It was the artists, you know, the DJ, the rappers, the dancers, break dancers, and the graffiti. That was like the foundation of hip hop. Mm-hmm. So dancing is definitely a part of it. And when I was young, the 80s, my older cousins, they'd be, dancing the Kid and Play type stuff.
What's that?
Dancing, like the movie House Party, Kid and Play. They were like huge back when I was young. They were huge. So they had their own little dances. So it was a thing. But then the 90s came, it was more on that like gangster thug shit. So people weren't really dancing. Like it wasn't cool to dance. And now it's cool to dance again with the young kids. They doing all types of shit. But yeah, my generation kind of, like, you remember Fat Joe had this song, Lean Back. Like, we don't dance in the club. We just lean back.
Yeah.
Like, that was a thing. People weren't dancing. Like, nah. We were freak. We called it freak dancing, where the girls just start freaking you, grinding on you. Like, that's the only dancing I ever did.
Yeah.
That's that was it. At the go-go, like, that's all I ever did.
Yeah.
But now, from what I understand, people going to clubs, they like, it's just sections. Nobody partying, dancing no more. That's why a lot of times you see me, I just be chilling outside, just talking to people. I'm not pressed to go in because I started partying when I was 15, and like we was really partying. So I'm not pressed to go somewhere and just stand around looking at people, looking at everybody on their phone. I could just be out running amongst the people, just talking to my friends, taking pictures, crazy shit I see.
Did you ever get into like doing any recreational drugs or anything like that
while
you're partying?
Weed.
Yeah. But anything,
weed.
nothing crazy?
Nah. I did shrooms like once or twice.
Was it like
maybe once?
One of those experiences that just like you never want to do it again, or was
it was
a good
cool.
experience?
I had edibles from a place in DuPont, I think. Had some like chocolate shroom edibles, and it was cool. It wasn't nothing crazy. I didn't take enough to be, anything crazy. But I took, because it came in like, I want to say like maybe 18 of them, little chocolate squares. So I was just taking like 2-3 at a time. It was like, all right, that's cool. It's not like being high from weed, but kind of like that, but different. But it's cool. So I upped it a little bit. I took like 6 or 7.
What, at a different time or?
Yeah, that was like the next day. It was maybe 2 days later. I took like, I want to say maybe like 6 at one time. Yeah, I kind of felt that one.
Yeah, that one hit.
I remember I went to go pick some food up, and by the time I got the food drying back, I was like, yeah, let me get my ass home, because I'm starting to feel this, like, stuff was kind of just spinning a little bit. But it wasn't, like, crazy. I haven't never had anything crazy where it's like, oh, I don't want to do that again. It was cool, though, but I want to get it, because I hear, like I mentioned Joe Rogan a lot. I listen a lot to his podcast, especially back in the day. I used to listen all the time. And they talking about the experiences you could get from edibles and shrooms or DMT. Kind of like...
DMT is so... Like, I have a friend who's like, I really want to do DMT. It makes you, like, almost die, and then you come back to life.
So yeah, I don't want to...
Yeah, like, that's... Because they say that DMT is the molecule that comes out when you die.
Yeah, well, it's the... damn, I should know. I do
the
know,
God?
I can't
Is
think
it called?
Yeah, they do call it, like... Yeah, but it's damn. It releases when you dream too. So it's I should know that. I do know the name of it, I can't think of it right now. But it releases when you dream, so it's natural. It's just I want to try stuff where they say, kind of like I said, I'm a curious person. So they say you could talk to other entities and shit, and kind of get reason and understanding of stuff that we wouldn't just get naturally. Kind of get wisdom, kind of. I want to do that. I want to experience it. Like, I'm just curious. Like, what is that shit like? Let me see. But I haven't gotten there yet. So, but like I said, I took that 6, 7. I kind of felt like if I took 2-3 more, yeah, I might have had a wild experience to tell you about.
So what, like, did it take you anywhere when you were on
it didn't.
shrooms?
Cause like people, from what I hear, people say like, oh, the walls are melting. They might see entities talking to them or different shit. Like none of that happened to me. It was just more like I said, kind of stuff was just spinning a little bit. That's what I remember. It just kind of just feel like you really, really, really high, but nothing like where it's like I'm seeing geometric patterns and shit like that.
Yeah,
I would like to see all that. Like, could they say you could kind of just break the foundation of whatever we're in and see past that?
I was literally thinking about that on the way to my car this morning. Was it this morning? Yeah. I went out yesterday, and I was just thinking about. I was looking at how buildings are made and what shapes kind of create their foundation and like the way that something is structured, and that there is just like a building block to everything that is around us, like how things are made, why the patterns are a certain way is on the microphone or whatever. Like they've done it now for like maybe for style, but there is a certain thing that you can see in everything, that there is like a shape of like certain patterns that are constant and like through like there's like I've even heard that there's like a type of religion based off of like patterns that you see in things.
Yeah.
Geometric shapes, and then that's like the building blocks of like the universe is like certain.
Yeah, I think as far as some conspiracies go, I think some of the ancient people, the first, if they were secret societies, they were on that type of shit, like kind of like on some math, geometry, ancient knowledge type shit, and they had knowledge that other people didn't have. But yeah, I think about that a lot too, because I remember I was in 5th grade, I think. I had a science teacher, and she pointed out like how most things are built with. They have a triangle, and somewhere in there is a triangle. So ever since then, I'll just be out my everyday life driving this way. I just see shit like bridges. And I always know like, damn, it's a triangle. Like it's always
There's a
right,
triangle
like,
doing
always.
his thing right over there.
Yeah, like always, like even the tripod stand.
Yeah.
Triangle.
Yeah.
That corner of your mic right there, triangle. The
Yeah.
bottom, triangle. Like everything.
Oh
is
shoot,
triangle.
where else?
Yeah, like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think about shit like that.
What do you
point it out?
What do you think of what does the triangle signify to you?
To me, nothing really, but I think I don't know. It did nothing to me really. I think it's just the structure and the way it hold. You know what I mean? The way it's together. It's a strong foundation.
Yeah.
It holds shit together because I guess weight spread evenly type shit.
It's almost like we get to see math in real time of like when something has a shape like this, you're literally seeing what forces are like how it's being dissipated based off the shape of what it is. So it's like, would it still work if maybe the triangle was a little less or whatever? Like maybe it would be a little off, and it wouldn't actually keep the foundation of that shape, just because the force would be too great that the shape couldn't actually hold it, which really makes it interesting.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, that basically essentially that's kind of what she was saying back then.
Yeah, I watched this. I saw this ad. I got the weirdest ads because I'm telling you, Google just listens to everything that I say. So like, they're just. I had this one ad about water, and I started screen recording it after a certain point because I was like, no one's gonna believe I got this advertisement because this is so dumb. But maybe it's actually something we could talk about because it's just so. Maybe it exists and it's just like something I think is just funny. But it's where the advertisement was like 12 people standing around a droplet of water and they just all like giving the water good intentions, good vibrations to the water. And it was saying that the structure of the water actually changed based off of people giving the water good energy.
Yeah, I've heard stuff like that before, yeah.
It's like,
I heard it.
I was like, what?
They say it's like that with plants.
Yeah?
They did a study with somebody, I don't think this was 2 plants. And one, they spoke very positive to it. And I guess they, kept in the same situations, environment, water the same, both of them the same. But one, they just spoke very positive, loving things to. And the other one, they were very negative, cuss out. It was like the ones they were negative to.
How can you speak bad about a plant?
Like, right.
You sit there, do nothing all day. Get your act together.
Yeah. But yeah, they said the one they spoke negative to, it ended up like dying. The other one like lived and grew perfectly. So there's like plants have energy, like, and we could communicate to them, I guess. That's what they say about trees and shit.
Yeah.
They say about a lot of objects. Like I say, man, I think in our time we're gonna learn a lot of shit that we don't know now.
Yeah.
Like, stuff that just seems probably impossible might be real. Like maybe that does have effect on plants.
I think power of intention is what it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that we can see is because if you have a certain intention in things, it will like more likely end up being that way because you're putting all your power into that. I don't know how to use other words besides power and intention, but
right.
like your because you're wanting a certain outcome in that particular way. I'm just trying to figure out a different way of expressing it. You're making sure that there's things that are in line that will carry out a similar outcome of what you're looking for.
Right.
And so when you have this, like, it all starts, I think, from like an internal like belief on wanting to either change something or affect something. Your there's always gonna be a cause to it, and the more that you try to like shape it in a certain way, you're going to manipulate other things to act similarly.
Right, true.
And so I think through that behavior, you're going to either motivate or influence other people to do the same thing, or even the energy around that thing is going to start forming in a similar way.
Right.
So
yeah, like you said, it's about intentions and energy, and I guess it's kind of, I guess maybe that's like what they call it, vision boards, where I haven't done one, but I've heard a lot of people talk about them and say like the shit kind of works. Like you put your intentions, your visions on a board so you can actually see it, put it up in your house, and like not pray to it, but maybe like meditate or just think
show
about
gratitude
it every day.
or something.
Yeah, and like so really envision yourself. Like say you want to live in a certain country, you put a picture of that country, certain type of house, you put that house in your car, you know, maybe you want a family, you put kids up there, and actually envision yourself with that stuff. And weirdly enough, I heard from a number of people be like, yo, that shit really works. To me, it still kind of sounds like wild, but again, like I said, I don't put nothing past nothing.
Yeah.
Like, anything could be possible. But I know somebody that I went to school with that she's kind of doing that. She started TikTok where she like reviews movies and stuff, and she's getting big now. Like that shit's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a thought that I just couldn't let go in my mind. I'm sorry. You want me to share it?
Yeah.
All right. Just because I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm trying to relate it back to like how crazy creating a picture of something to create like to make someone feel something towards like either a bigger picture of something. And my mom, so my sister was also adopted, and what my mom used to do is, since my sister would always kind of wonder where she came from, and she would ask, "Oh, what did my mom look like?" and all this. Like, well, the woman that gave birth to her is no longer her mother. I mean, in a sense, like our mother is our mother. The person who takes care of us is our mother, and you know, our family. You know what I'm saying? Just because you were birthed by someone doesn't mean that person is
like
your
family. Yeah.
You know, they're blood, but they're not like they're not in your lives. You know, that, like in any sense. So, but anyway, my sister had always kind of like wanted to know what she looked like, and so what my mom did is that she took a picture out of a magazine, put it in a picture frame of this blonde woman with blue eyes, and I said, "This is what I think your mom used to look like." And so she used to just have a picture of like this random woman, in her room, and she would just look at it like that was her mom. But it was just my mom's sweet way of just trying to like give my sister that like comfort,
like closure a little bit.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope though.
Which is it just made me kind of laugh at it's just kind of reflect on that.
Yeah, it's funny how something happened, something in life could happen. You think back like something you might have forgot about, like just make you laugh for a second. Yeah, like little reminders like that.
Do you have anything that kind of stands out that really helped form who you are, like what your parents used to do to try to like parent?
it really, I think, what formed me is like knowing what my grandmother stood for, and her thoughts, her beliefs. She was a civil rights activist, so I think that had a lot. That was like a huge part of like who
Yeah.
I even to this day. Like it's a huge part of who I am and what formed me.
Like you
And
almost didn't want to let that down. Like you were like, I
yeah,
got
yeah,
to like
yeah,
carry this through as
yeah,
well.
definitely. I definitely, yeah, definitely feel part of that, and it's just naturally the interest of human rights, civil rights. That's like it's very strong with me, like very strong. So yeah, that was a big influence. My parents, my mother influenced me a lot. My father influenced me just about being a good example. You know what a man is, what you got to do, what you got to do, and just being there for me. My mother influenced me a lot. She's like the cool mom. Like all my friends call her mom. So and she's very like I could just talk to her, about anything. And she was younger. She's 17 years older than me. She was
Oh
17 when she
wow.
had me, so we was kind of close in age. So she's been like like my best friend, and
Wow.
she's just always give me confidence and knowing that I could accomplish anything and reaffirm, believing what I believe in myself, stuff like that. So that's how they raised me to kind of be who I am today. Just to have confidence and to know you're here for a reason, and it's just about doing it. I'd be hesitant to put stuff out there because I'm like I said, I'm like quiet to myself, just chill. I don't like people in my business. Like most time you see me out, I'm just chilling, but I'm just
Yeah.
chilling to myself,
Yeah.
and or talking to somebody I know. But for the most part, I'm just chill. So I don't want to put myself out there a lot where might get famous or something, and then just can't be a regular person no more.
Yeah. That's
That'd be
true.
kind of like hold me back. But then at the same time, you feel like you have a message that needs to get out there. So, and that's really more important than how you feel. You know what I mean? You gotta put the message out there.
Yeah. So what would you say is that kind of what is that message? Do you know?
Uh, I think I just want to help people think for themselves, think more about what's going on. You know what I mean in the world as far as policies, government stuff that's going on with us. Just think we more create critical thinkers to be more loving of one of each other, loving of each other. We could come together as a people. So we don't have to be separated by race or gender or sexuality. Sexual orientation. Like we don't have to be separated. We could just all come together and demand that this shit should be easier for the average person.
And also like demand what is like basic human rights.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's really what I'm all about. If those needs are being met, I would be cool. But as long as that's not being met, that shit's always, even if I don't talk about it a lot, it's still always burning inside me. Like this shit ain't right. You know what I mean? Like we need to fix this. And I think we can. Like I said, we just all a little too distracted right now. But yeah, I just think thoughts like that. It's a lot, man, because it's so much that, like as I mentioned, my cousin and my friends a lot. We'd be hanging out, just talking. And it's so much shit that we didn't talk about, and after years later, like that just became how everybody's moving now. And it's it's crazy, man. It's so much shit. It makes you just wonder, like, are we living in a simulation? Like, how's this shit even possible? Like, it's just even like I said, the internet. I was on the internet back when it wasn't cool to be on the internet. Now everybody's on the internet. Like it's just regular life now. Like I was talking about the music with my cousin. Like doesn't everybody make this type of music now? Everybody's making that type of music. There's so much little stuff in sports. I love sports. So as players, I'll watch, be like, oh, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. Years later, they're great players about to go Hall of Fame. Like it's just something about I saw one day on National Geographic, and they're like certain people could see what's around the corner, and that's kind of like I noticed that's kind of what I've been able to do, and it just took a while to even understand it. Cause at first you don't believe it's really possible. You just like, oh, I thought this and then it happened. Like how is that possible? It happened, and once it happened so many times, he's like, okay, something to that shit. Yeah, it's wild. Like my favorite football player, Sean Taylor, died in 2007. He got killed, and I remember 2 weeks before he died, I had like a premonition that he died. Wow. Like that shit fucked my head up.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was watching highlights because he was hurt at the time, so I'm just watching highlights. I love to see him play, and I thought to myself like, why am I watching his highlights like he dead? Like I had that exact thought. I was like, damn, what if something happened and he died? Then I was like, nah, that's crazy. Don't even think no shit like that. 2 weeks later, he got shot, killed.
Wow.
So little shit like that be happening. Even with my mother, her birthday was in March, and she talks a lot. So we always like the Chappelle show. We always be like, oh, you gotta have the wrap it up box to hit the button, be like wrap it up.
Yeah.
So she talk a lot. So me and my friend went to go see her, and she hadn't seen my friend in a long time. So she just talking, and we about to leave, but she talking. So I just had a thought: what if she can't enjoy this? And then she had a stroke, and now she can't talk regularly.
Wow.
But she had a stroke like 5 days after that.
Oh my gosh.
But I had that thought like, enjoy this, because she couldn't talk to you regularly. So it's just that shit like that happened so many times where I had thought and then it happened. So yeah, it's just that's the stuff that make me question. That's why when you ever ask me, could something be possible? I'm like, it could, because there's so much that we just don't understand. That we powers that or senses that we have that we just don't really understand.
Do you think I'm going to become a billionaire?
Hey man, it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm going for trillionaire.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually $1 trillion is going to be how much a loaf of bread is.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, inflation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I thought about like 10 years ago. I thought about making something called like Trillionaire Minds, because I already knew everybody's gonna be on billions soon, but I want to be on trillions. So I wanted to have my group, a media group or something, be like called Trillionaire Minds.
I like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So you are working on creating like a media platform in a sense?
Yeah. I want to do skits, but I also love doing like interviews, documentaries, a little bit of all. Like my goal is just to make people think, put what I think is the truth out and help people think, and just be like and entertain. Cause I love to laugh. That's like anybody who knows me knows like. I love to laugh. Like if I get together with my friend and we go smoke, I'm just showing them a bunch of shit I done saved on Twitter and we just crying laughing. Like that's what I love to do most. So make people laugh, entertaining, but also make people think. Yeah. I think that's what I want to do. Just help people. And then a lot of guys, this ain't from me, but like a lot of guys need help with being confident in themselves and dealing with women and stuff like that. So I think that's a need, you know what I mean? People, those guys need help. Yeah. Like they talking about incels and shit. Like just imagine like when you first hit puberty and how fucking horny you are. And imagine you never got no pussy. Yeah. Like that shit gotta be good, like a crazy ass feeling. Like, yeah. From that time and you older now, you ain't never get nothing. Like that's sad. Like they gotta be feeling. I can't imagine how they feel. Inside. So I'm like, guys, like people just need help in general. In dating relationships, people need help. I mean, I wrote a blog like 10 years ago about just how we need to have a conversation, men and women, about realistic expectations in dating. So to see it kind of all play out now, because that's all over the internet now, dating, relationships, talking, podcast. Yeah, exactly. So to see it happening, it's like, damn, this is what I wrote about. But when I wanted it to happen, I wanted us to come to a conclusion. But now it's like, it's not a conclusion. It's just we're just fighting as men against women. Everybody's just fighting. You know what I mean? Instead of just, all right, let's just have a conversation and come to a conclusion and agreement. All right, this is what it is, and we can move forward. But it's just turned into, it's combative. Red pill, people, like, it seems like a lot of people hate women. It's just weird, you know what I mean?
I think that there's like both, like there's a lot of perspectives on it, and like we were talking about it I think yesterday or something like that, where you were asking me like, why don't I teach like younger men how to like approach women, or dating advice and stuff like that. And I think that I definitely was in those shoes when I was like 20, where I was just very uncomfortable socially and not knowing how to approach a woman, what to say, and so I did look up lines, and I try to find like the funny thing to say to get her number and stuff like that. And that stuff did help with my confidence. Just like created like an artificial feeling of like I'm getting somewhere. But I think through the experience of my 20s, now I'm 30, so my evolution where it's no longer about figuring out what to say to somebody, but it's more about trying to figure out what energy you have even available in that interaction.
Right. Yeah.
That's also something really that we don't think about is like you will receive the energy you have space for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. True.
And if you don't allow yourself to be open to a certain exchange, then it doesn't matter what you say.
Right.
And it's like creating a mindset and working on yourself, becoming a better person, a better version of yourself is going to be way better than trying to come up with some superficial line, or I got this girl's number, or I slept with this many people. And that's where my thinking has shifted a lot. And it's harder to teach now because, I mean, it probably was harder back then, but it's no longer about getting women. It's more about creating a lifestyle of a high value man. And through that, you're going to manifest things, attract all sorts of people, women, energy, money, opportunities in your life. And I was telling you that it's like I would love to tap into something like that where I could create some sort of influence in that field. But I also think that it would just take so much of my time away from my music and my fitness and my martial arts and my personal lifestyle and my brand that I think spreading yourself a little too thin. I think doing something like this where it's like a podcast talking about it is like the easiest way to inform people that is a way that you can live and just through how you speak, and you don't need to always be regarding it towards men and women and stuff like that. It could just be, this is a lifestyle I like to live, and if you want to implement certain like a certain perspective and carry that through in your life, then see if it applies to you. If it doesn't, you can try something else, but I think a lot of the time we worry about what people think of us, and so we're like, oh, if I mess up or I say this and I seem cool, and it's all about perception. And that's why it's like being on that like eye of scrutiny, men feel intimidated, and they don't, like, they need to come up with that best thing, or like they look like a fool, something bad's gonna happen, or like they'll be shamed, or they'll lose respect, or like they won't seem like they have women in their life and all this, and that's like what's creating that negative narrative. And that's where that like needingness to what's it called, needing that approval to prove yourself, and I think that's where I have a problem with it, and I think that's kind of where a lot of the conversation is led, in like how to, and like how a relationship even goes, and that kind of sense that like I'm a little bit on a different trajectory, and I'm not thinking as much about what other people are doing, and I'll have my own way of like checking in with my relationships and trying to figure out how that works, and every relationship is going to be different. So you taking advice from one person and just trying to apply that to all your relationships, it's not, you're not actually being present with what energy that they're giving at that moment. And that's something I'm always working on too. And I know that my relationships by no means are perfect. I'm not perfect at executing or being compassionate, or I just know what I need to work on, because I can see that in the relationship. If things are lacking in the relationship, most likely means that I'm lacking in certain departments. So being able to reflect in that way rather than just try to come up with a certain word, a certain line, or it's really just trying to learn how to become more comfortable, put yourself out there, get a lot of experiences, embarrass yourself. Like you don't purposely have to embarrass yourself. Sometimes sometimes it can be helpful to do something just to like throw your ego off you.
To know it's gonna be okay.
Nothing
bad's gonna happen.
Like
you'll still be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is all gonna be, fine in the end.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, what you said, that's the key to it. It's about being confident in yourself, being comfortable in yourself, who you are, and that's gonna, in whatever situation you're in, that's gonna lead to, as long as you're being authentic to yourself, it'll lead to good outcomes. But it kind of takes going through it all to experiencing it to know that. A lot of guys that want the dating advice, they don't even understand. Like what you just said, that is the dating advice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you've been through it, you know that's the advice right there. But people that haven't been through it, they hear that, they're like, yeah, but what I say when I go through it?
Yeah, it's like we're back at square one. It's like,
that's all they hear. So it's like I was saying earlier, you got to kind of feed them the medicine with the candy, you know what I mean? That's what they think they want. So you kind of give them a little of that, but this is the real shit, you know what I mean? I think just find a way to do that for anybody who wants to be in this game, in the red pill or the dating advice game. That would be key. Or, I mean, that's if you want to be really actually try to help people.
yeah.
I think a lot of people just do the hyperbole type shit, you know, to say outrageous shit or shock value type stuff, and that stuff is getting popular. But if you really want to help people, I think you just kind of meet them where they are to start, and kind of, you know, give them the real game where they think that what they kind of give them what they think they want to know, but give them what they need, you know. And that's a lot of guys just want to talk to women, and like you were saying, the real game is being grounded in yourself, being confident in yourself, being comfortable, and believing in yourself. So when you're having a conversation, you're talking naturally. You're saying what's really on your mind. It's not about a line, but it takes experience to know that. So the guys that haven't been there, haven't done that, they still want to know what's like. You could tell them the game, and they're still just gonna want to know, oh, well, what do I say when I go to, or how do I get over the fear? When what I tell people, the fear is always there. It just turns into excitement.
Yeah.
Like before, you might be nervous. Oh, I'm nervous to go to her, and then once you've done it enough times, you still get the feeling, but it's not nervous. It's just excitement, or you interpret it as excitement.
Yeah.
At first it was fear, now it's excitement. So it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? I might be able to get it, or what's gonna happen from this? You know what I mean? We might go on a adventure. We gonna go on from this.
Yeah, and I don't know if this part got recorded. I know we got it on the audio, but just to kind of touch more on the visual side of things, we were saying that like the type of energy you are willing to accept is the energy you have space for, and by having no expectation in that interaction, you're already creating like a better palette for the interaction to blossom into something that you didn't even know it could. You know, it's usually when you least expect something to happen, it happens.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's why you should always have your guard up. No, I'm kidding. But no, but like it's almost like being confident about not knowing what the future holds.
Right. Yeah.
You have to realize, okay, is it because I don't actually have enough to talk about? Most likely you can just live a lifestyle that you will want to talk about. It's just like, think about the last thing you were passionate about. It was just like how we're able to talk about just so many things because we're just passionate about so many different things.
Right, yeah.
By being passionate, a passionate person, a curious person, you're going to create things that you will be interested in.
Yeah.
You'll want to seek things out from other people, and from that genuine curiosity, you'll actually create a real relationship, a connection with somebody.
Yeah,
and that's what's really creating the longevity in that interaction, and you get to see where the compatibility is, and it's just because someone is physically like aesthetically attractive, maybe that actually isn't all that your soul requires. Right. Yeah. You know, that there's more to somebody than just what you see in like your first impulse of wanting to do something. So like looking at it deeper, being like, how can I get to know myself as a person before I start putting myself out there in a way? It's like maybe that's why you don't know what to say, is because you don't know who you are.
Yeah, that's probably the big part of it. Yeah, because I'm a loner, so I'm cool being by myself and just in my brain thinking shit. So I know myself, you know what I mean? I'm cool with that. So yeah, a lot of people probably haven't done that, or the people in the like you're talking about who had that fear or don't have that experience, maybe they haven't done that first. But yeah, I agree that's important. If you know who you are first, then you could step out and put yourself in situations and be comfortable.
But I think it also took me years to realize who I am. Like, even when I was 25, and that's not even that long ago, I still was struggling with wanting to be this, like, alpha, arrogant leader, control everything mindset, you know? And then I realized that I didn't actually leave enough room for my relationships. Like, I was trying to manipulate everything to going out the way I wanted rather than seeing what really was
Just naturally
was
unfolds.
naturally going to unfold. Exactly. And I think that you learn a lot from not knowing what to do to doing too much to finding that middle ground to realizing you can really let go of the reins and then let things go, but also be on your path, and those that believe in the same thing will follow. And it's not like before. I used to think it was just like, oh, I need to be the head honcho and the leader and all that. And I think by disconnecting that identity, you realize that you are actually just the fact that you're so centered in your own energy is what influences other people to want to be similar.
Right. Yeah.
And
exactly.
it isn't about the like that power aspect as much. And I think that it's less mainstream, like that type of thinking, because the mainstream doesn't want you to think like that.
Right. Yeah.
They want you to buy into the glamour. What's this person doing? How can I be that way? Rather than like, what does your inner voice tell you? Like, what direction is it telling you to go in?
Yeah. That's what you want to follow. Be able to be still enough and quiet enough that you can listen to your inner voice. That's key. That's key. Like, it may remind me, like, my ex-girlfriend used to call me Buddha. And people call me like Buddha. Like, but that's kind of how you have to be. Just be okay with being with yourself and thinking for yourself. And then the most important part, like you were just saying, everything sums up to having experience. Put yourself out there and get experience. Because that's like you said, you learned yourself from doing too much than doing too little, but you were doing it. That's the point. The experience, the taking action is what gave you experience and give you knowledge and wisdom to reflect on. You know what I mean? So it's about taking the action. I think that's key, and for a lot of people, that's the hardest part. That first step is the hardest part. But I'll tell people just like from the show Martin back in the day, he used to say, ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Yeah.
And that's real when it comes down to it. Like, even being on camera, like, I don't really like being on camera. But I learned when I was in school doing this shit that when it's, you can be nervous and all that, but when it's time, there ain't nothing to it. Just do that shit.
Yeah.
Turn the cameras on and let's just fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of attitude you gotta have with anything.
Yeah.
Just putting yourself out there and trying it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people get caught up on the effort side of things. It's like, oh, it's going to take a lot of energy and effort to do this, but I don't even know if I believe in it or I want to do it. It's like, how else are you going to know unless you actually try? You know, my cousin, let me just set the timer just so that way we remember to check on it this time.
Yeah.
So we don't get caught up. But my Aunt Margaret, she had 5 kids. Oh, she takes care of 5 kids. I think she had 3. No, it was all of her kids? 2 kids. I don't know. I should know this. I'm sorry. But anyways, what she would tell them is that they should just try all sorts of different things. All like be a vet, be an assistant or work as an intern here, be the paper boy, work at a grocery store. Like try to figure out what you actually want to do, and then you're gonna kind of sort it all out. It's like, how else your mind is going to be so overwhelmed trying to come up with it all in your head without actually taking action and doing it. You're going to have that paralysis of like not knowing what to do.
I go through that because my mind is always running, so sometimes that process by analysis, that's real. But that's great advice. Just try different things. You never know what you're going to like. That my mother used to say, that the same thing. And even like I got in photography because I went to school for digital media production, because I was thinking more on the aspect of being like a broadcaster or 'cause I love sports. So something where I'm broadcasting sports, but so I bought a camera for them. I had took a photography class, bought a camera for that, and I was taking pictures and doing video, and I found out like, damn, I really like this, and that's how I got into it. Just I was going to for something else, but just started taking pictures and stuff, and found out that I like it. I like you can express yourself, you could capture a moment in time, and if you just had that eye, see things that other people aren't seeing, and you can present it to the world. And I like that part of it, but it came from just trying it. I never. My uncle was a photographer, so he was a photographer since before I was born. So I kind of always been around it, but I never thought like, oh, I would be a photographer. I never thought that. Like I said earlier, for the first part of my life, it was all basketball. Like I'm gonna be in the NBA. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like that was my focus. But so now to be a photographer, yeah, is a testament to what you're saying. Like try different things out. And even doing this podcast is cool, you know what I mean? Being on mic, being on air, like it's all right,
It's really cool because we're documenting a place that we are in our lives, and like the way we think about things, and it could be very different. Even looking back on it, like, oh, actually, no, I don't completely agree with what I said there, But being able to just have a steady flow of consciousness and allow whatever is going on in our minds to react to whatever that person said or how you felt at that moment is just like a timestamp of where we were at that moment, and it's really cool to look back on.
Exactly.
And there's gonna be certain things that we still also agree with, but it's gonna be just like a test of the times. We're gonna look just something to look back on, and then hopefully other people could also learn from us too, because there's just so much now. I think now that the digital age is so present, it's not like how it was before with the news, like waiting every single day for or whatever. Now it's like everything's so accessible. So it's like if we could, or at least I can, have any sort of influence that can make you think for yourself and try to inspire you to become a better person, then I feel like that's why we're on this earth to begin with. So like, how else what other ways besides creating your own platform, like you can like be active in your community and try to be motivational that way, but the easiest way to touch as many people as possible is through digital means,
especially today.
And it takes only the effort of a conversation, and that can already spur a lot of other conversations in the future. And it's like, it seems like it's like low effort, but it's because we've already lived and put so much effort into who we are that we're able to have these types of conversations. That is what creates the influence.
You're right. Like it's just like, just do it. That's why it's like when you started the podcast, I told you like, that's dope, man, because you're doing it. Like me and my friends have talked about it, but we haven't done it yet. Even me and Lexi talk about it all the time. Like, man, we just need to get started, put some shit out there, and you're doing it. And like even now, doing this now, it's like, okay, yeah, I could do this. Yeah, even though I'm still like low key, but like I said earlier, I think if you want to help people, then you have to. Like my cousin said this. He said a homeless guy told him one time, like, what's the point of, if you have like God gave you light to shine, what's the point of having that light if you're not gonna let it shine? If you're just gonna dim it yourself. So that's kind of how I feel like it's a purpose for us, and our conversations maybe could help people or even spark the brain that's that could help people in the future. So like, why not just do it and put the shit out there? It's just about, like we said, take action. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I kind of been thinking, when I was starting the podcast, I did it just to promote my music, not just, but like I used it as a tool to promote my music production course that I was creating, because I had these artists that were in my studio, and I was showcasing how I work with artists, how I produce music, and tools how I just create music in general, like, and the creative process and all that. And so I was like, afterward,
would love to just pick you guys' brain about the experience, how it's been as an artist. And I was like, well, this is actually a really awesome moment we're having. We're just talking about artistry and our journeys, and so I was like, well, let me call it the producer pod, because it was like this way of connecting, and I actually even think production, producer in general, like I don't think it just needs to pertain to music or movies or anything like that. I think production in general is like bringing people together, seeing the bigger picture and trying to bring something to life.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
yeah, that's the beauty of it, and that's the point where that's a moment in time where right now we're each individual, like we could do that. We have the internet, we have platforms. We could do it. You know what I mean? We could put our shit out there and try to be that influence.
Yeah, and I think that like as small as we are as humans, you know, or just even a one person, you know, if we look at how insubstantial we are even in the universe and stuff like that, you also have to look at that one person's voice can really change the way people think about things by like creating like a dialogue, and that's like the spark that could start something, you know. So I think by just believing in your voice in general, you'd be way more capable of what you think than you think.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I think that like no matter who you are, like your voice matters, and your perception, you know, like is gonna be completely unique from other people, and you're gonna have something to offer that other people had no idea.
Right.
You know, there's gonna be similarities, but we're all relating to each other in a certain way, and there's also things that we are learning from one another.
Yeah, we all had that unique perspective from our experiences.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to kind of touch on or talk about, or ask, or?
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Unless anything you could think of.
I mean, I could think of 1,000 things. You know, we could keep talking for a long time. Like, I love talking, man, and I really enjoy our conversations and your energy. You just have such a down to earth.
Yeah, I try, man.
Vibe, and I'm sure we're just scraping the surface, really, just like because you know, there's only so much you can learn about someone in a few hours, even. Like true. So, like this is a new setting for us too. So it's like maybe you know, we'll have like a part 2 where we're thinking about we should have said this. This was an interesting take, or like you know, like just
definitely.
So
anytime I'm gonna try to get my boys up here, man, because they're all like you saying earlier. We have deep conversations and stuff. And that's the way my brain works, in part because the people I came up with, people I hung out with, I grew up with. So they're on the same type of vibe, and I just think the more and more people like that, I think I told you, more and more people like that, the better. But I think I told you a couple of weeks ago, like I just want to start cause I know so many people like you, like I was talking about my friends, my cousin. I just want to create a group where we all just come together and just talk really, and just get ideas out there and figure stuff out, because, and I want to call us like the outsiders or something, because we think outside the box.
Okay.
And because I know so many smart people, creative people who are individuals who think for themselves and aren't easily influenced by everything that's going around in the media or whatever. And I just think we all come together and just put some ideas together. We could come up with something to help spark some, create some change or something.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people like that, and it's just, I just be thinking like to myself, like, damn, I just always wanted to get together. I think that'd be dope. So maybe start something like that. But I definitely want to get my boys to come on the podcast with me.
That would be sick.
Fun. Yeah.
Even like we could. Let me see how many mics I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mics. So we could get like a few people on here. I think the interface only takes 4. So actually maybe 4 people.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna holler at him. I know my cousin said he'll do it for sure, but he just had something he had to do today.
Yeah.
But that'll be dope. And he has a crazy story. Cause he was a victim of gun violence.
Oh wow.
He was shot in his head, but if you saw him today, you would never know.
Wow.
Like you would never know. So he's a testimony of what could happen. You know what I mean?
So that's a cliffhanger right there. We could definitely approach
he's
that.
He's a dope music producer. Like, yeah,
that'd be sick to have him on the podcast. Definitely get him over here.
I got you. I'm gonna call him when I leave here.
Yeah, that'd be really sick. So is there so you're planning on doing the media platform, but what is there a name that you are gonna come up with, or?
I just always had maybe my initials, the WAT, so maybe Watt Media or something like that. Cause I just always had. I remember being in elementary school, and I just had visions of like the WAT, like all connect that logo.
Yeah,
I just always had that vision, so I figured gotta be something like that, or like I said earlier, like the Trillionaire Minds type thing.
Yeah,
something like that. But it'll probably maybe the big company would be WAT, and maybe other stuff will fall umbrella. Other names fall under it, but yeah, my initials. Cause just like I said, I just always had that vision in my mind, so it makes sense.
Okay, nice. We better make that a Instagram handle before someone takes
right,
it.
I know,
from
right?
This,
Yeah.
But yeah, where can people find you and
yeah, Instagram just 2 Trill, JUS 2 TRILL. YouTube, I have a few things on there, but I didn't really get that going just yet. But it's same thing, just 2 Trill, JUS 2 TRILL, then 07. And Twitter, I'm not really on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter, like reading, just laughing at people, but I don't really, I don't really engage myself that much on there. But yeah, Instagram, YouTube, I'm gonna get more stuff on the YouTube, but that's where you can find me.
Sick. And they could also request you as a personal photographer.
Yeah, definitely. I do a little bit of everything: portraits, events, sports, product. I've done fashion. I love doing street photography, but yeah, whatever anybody needs, any portraits, whatever, just hit me up. If the guys want to need pictures for their dating profiles.
Yeah.
Because you see I'm in DuPont, people just come up to me, ask for pictures.
Yeah.
So it's been a few times the dudes come back to me like, yo, I got some dates with all them pictures you gave me. Like, yeah. That's happening with a few different people. So guys want, up their profiles up, step their game up a little bit. I can help out with that. Women, I do models, but I kind of want to do. I'll shoot with any model, but sometimes you feeling like the ones that already think they like that already have a high ego, big ego. It's like I'm not really pressed to shoot with them. I'd rather shoot with somebody that doesn't have that much confidence and help make them feel prettier, or you know what I mean, help boost their confidence.
Yeah.
As opposed to someone that's already just swear they this shit, which is cool because that's how you get. It's better for marketing. If I just shot a bunch of beautiful women, that's definitely better for marketing. But,
Yeah.
But I'm not really pressed to do that. I just like the real natural shit,
Yeah. I
mean, but I'm not opposed to it, so y'all can hit me up too.
Yeah. You can still have a beautiful woman that's natural looking too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, true.
Well, very nice, very good, man. Well, really enjoyed our conversation, and definitely more to come from us.
Yeah. And
from you, I know that you have an amazing mindset, and I know that there's going to be a lot in store for the world.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're looking forward to that, and catch you guys on the next one, and I appreciate you guys.
It's a Peace. Production.